Hi. Okay. Hi guys, how are you? Please let me know if I am audible now. Mhm. Yes, I'm so sorry. I realized. Okay, cool. Okay. So I'm so sorry about this mishap. I basically, I usually go live via Zoom, but today I thought why not try OBS? Because all the best streamers do, and I did not want to miss out on the experience apparently. And yeah, so that's what I did. Okay, I'll just. And Web have spent a good 30 minutes trying to tell me how to go around because there was a lot of problem. And so if I really mess up some in some technical way, please pardon me. But yeah, so before we get to the mainstream, I have a friend of mine who isn't here, by the way. He hasn't joined yet, but it took me a good 1 month to get him here. Um, so we'll be discussing some Hindi poetry today. We were hoping to discuss Rashmi Rathi by Dinkar. But before I get there, I wanted to share three things with you, roughly more or less three things. But yeah, hi Partha, how are you? Hi Anurag. Okay. Hey, thank you, Ravikant. We just hit 40K subscribers on YouTube yesterday at around 10 a.m. And yeah, this is great. Hi, Anamika. How are you? Anamika writes, um, she writes, Anamika writes summaries of live sessions and videos for us on YouTube, and that is so sweet. Thank you so much for doing it, Anamika. This means so much to all of us. And yep, so we'll be discussing Rashmi Rathi once Bhoomik comes in. But also before that, there were three things that I wanted to discuss roughly. The first one is that I started this thing earlier, at the end of 2020, I had posted something um, that went like, I want to read a book a month with all of you. And the response was so wholesome that we actually created a proper process for it because so many people wanted to sign up. Just give me a second. Because so many people wanted to sign up for it. And yeah, so that happened. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm so sorry, there was some confusion. So yeah, that happened. And so yeah, we started this thing and a lot of you signed up for a book a month. um, and yeah, so we started with Submarine. Please let me know if you guys received our emails yesterday, because I wrote an email and I sent it, and we didn't receive them for the following 3 to 4 hours, and I was shit scared that I sent out these emails and nobody can receive them. But yeah, so the book that we'll read is Submarine in for this month, that is January, and I've already started it. And a lot of people tell me that it's out of stock already. I mean, I did check it a few days ago; it was still there. But I'm so glad. I'm hoping a lot of you bought the book, or at least the ebook. I've already reached the 65th page, and I'm hoping you guys will also pick it up. And towards the end of the month, on Thursday, we will, I think the last Thursday would be right, we would be discussing our journey of reading this book. And so that's that. It's also a cult film. Webber tells me it's a cult film as well. And I've seen the film, and now I'm reading the book. Process थोड़ा सा उल्टा हो गया, but the background score of the film is really good. It's by Alex Turner is the guy, the lead from Arctic Monkeys, if I'm not wrong, the band. But yeah, the book is beautiful nonetheless. I just started reading it. Do not watch the film before you read the book, please. That's the one thing that I wanted to discuss with you guys. And if you're still interested, you can reach out to us. We started this. We have this another email ID that we had to start because of a book a month, because there were so many people who wanted to join, and it made me so happy. I was the happiest person for quite some time. And so you can note down the email ID. It's called Chalchitra Book Club @gmail.com, and you can send or share your views and opinions and your progress as you move on, and I'll be sharing my progress with all of you guys as well. So if you find something that's very interesting, you can write it to us on email, or you can also become a patron and join our exclusive WhatsApp group that's dedicated to books, and we can discuss the book Submarine there as well. So that's one. Two, we actually came out with a new series today, which is very interesting. It's by Disha, and I'll actually share it with you guys as well. Just give me a second. God. Yep, this is the one. Please let me know if you can hear my audio as well.
Welcome to Chalchitra Talk.
So this is Sumedha.
Today has some amazing
And this is Disha. She just recommended.
To her and listen to all the recommendations that she has to give. So over to Disha for her recommendations.
Hi guys, my name is Disha. Today I want to talk to you guys about 3 artists.
So Disha is going to recommend a few. She's going to do a series of episodes recommending some of her favorite artists. And I remember listening. I haven't heard all the artists that she mentions in the video, but it was such a beautiful video, and I absolutely love her setup. Like, it's a beautiful video setup, and of course with lovely music recommendations. I'll just play it for you guys.
Artists who I could not categorize under a specific genre, but I think the best way to describe their music is that it heals you, but also pushes you deeper into melancholy, which I think is always the best kind of music. The first artist I want to talk to you guys about is Andy Shauf. Now, Andy Shauf is a fairly popular artist, so I know कि काफ़ी लोगों को already पता होगा, but because he's
so she's been recommending. Well, I'll just. Oh shit! See, why would I go there? But she's recommended some amazing artists, and I cannot wait to listen to them. I've heard one already, and I really like that artist now. It happened with me, like every time I stream with Sumedha, I get one artist that I'm obsessed with for the entire week, and I am so looking forward to these recommendations now as well. So if you guys haven't seen Disha's video, please check them out. There are some amazing recommendations that will probably help you as well, because some of them are really nice. And so there's that. That's the second thing. Also, I love her setup. I love the lighting and I love the curtains, and it's really nice. Now I don't want to fangirl anymore. There's the third thing. So today was a really long day, and I came back home and I was feeling a little under the weather, and I don't know, there was a lot of Chalchitra work to do, and I called a Weber because I was panicking about the stream, because I did not know how to, because my Streamlabs wasn't working. There was a lag every time I was trying, and I was also feeling a little under the weather, and because the Mossam just keeps on changing. It cannot decide whether it has to be like really cold or like for the past 2 days it has been so hot that you're sweating, and today it was so cold. That's too much information, but so I came back home and I had ordered a couple of books for a few people. So I have a lot of friends who are born in the month of Feb, and so my entire December and January goes into planning the gifts, so that nothing I don't know, so that I use my money cautiously before purchasing gifts for people who are all born in Feb. And I had ordered a lot of things for them from Amazon, and that's when I came home and I was talking to Vaibhav as well, because, and I was overwhelmed by the amount of information I had around me because it was just a lot of information. And towards the end of the call, Vaibhav tells me to check out the parcels I've received, and I go downstairs, and my co-founders have sent me a gift, which read, "May it help you read even more in 2021," which is so nice of them to send me a gift for the new year. And well, does anyone want to take a guess what it was? Well, never mind. It was a Kindle, and I was so overwhelmed for the first few minutes uh, with joy. And yeah, so my co-founders gifted me something on the 2020 for the new year, and I feel so terrible because I did not even think of doing anything. So, but yeah, so if Vaibhav and Saurabh are watching, thank you so much, guys. It means so much to me. I'll read a few comments now. I think Bhoomik is here as well. Um, yep, he is. Hi, Bhoomik, how are you? I'm fine as well. Just give me a second. I'll have to see where it went wrong. Oh God. Yep. Okay. There's some reason why my Zoom is not. Anyways. Okay. Hmm. Hi, Bhoomik. You just. Yep. I am so sorry about it. I'm going to. I don't know what's happening. This is not good. This is good, Vese. Thank you so much for joining. Guys, just give me a minute. There's some trouble on my end. Bhumik is here, and I really want to get him here. But unfortunately, for some reason, I cannot, yep, bring him here. Okay. Hmm. I'm not sure what's happening.
I'm not even opening YouTube. Kind of scared that the connection is stable right now. I don't want to mess it up because
Sure.
this time of the night I don't get it.
Just give me a second. I don't know what's happening. Um, yep, you can see me, but there's some trouble here. I'm not sure why it won't. I'm so bad at it, and I'm. Just give me a second. Okay. Mm. I'm just trying to figure it out because it's something that I recently learned, and for some reason, I cannot share my window right now. So, I'm so sorry, Bhumik.
No, that's okay. I'm actually not the expert on Zoom. Like I use it
Yeah.
just the way it looks on my system.
Okay. This is a
So like
slight. Yeah.
how should I assume the YouTube window will be looking right
Yeah, so right now they can only see me and not you because
now?
for
Okay.
some reason,
Okay.
yeah, because I
That
think
that
for some reason I'm unable to share the window because it's some problem with my settings. But it was supposed to work, it was working
so I
before.
should be on the other end, but I'm
Just give me a second. This is, but yeah. Okay, I think Vaibhav is here to save the day.
Hi Vani, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Screen share. Okay. Acha.
I am sharing my screen and I'm taking it to OBS. This is Vaibhav actually is joined from Saurabh's account, I think. A.
Like that.
हाँ, इसका अनम्यूट करो, ठीक है, अब कुछ बोलो भूमिक।
This is still looking like next level.
ठीक है, स्टॉप स्टॉप, क्या कहते हैं, स्टॉप, वो करो, स्क्रीन शेयर स्टॉप करो।
Yep.
ओ अच्छा ओ
I created separate layers for everything so
अच्छा
that,
अच्छा,
yeah.
वापस स्क्रीन शेयर करो, वील फिक्स दिस गाइस, 100 लोग देख रहे हैं, कोई बात नहीं, नो प्रेशर।
Yep.
या ठीक है, सो एपॉक को हमने बंद कर दिया। अच्छा, आप इसको, आपको वानी जूम पे जाना पड़ेगा, ये वाला वो करके। अच्छा, एक बार वापस स्टॉप करो, शेयर स्टॉप करो।
Yeah.
हाँ, नाउ इसको वो करो, मिनिमाइज करो।
Done.
हाँ, ओपन जूम।
Yes.
अच्छा, ओके, इंसेप्शन ऑफ स्क्रीन, वापस स्क्रीन शेयर करो, वील फिक्स दिस, वील फिक्स दिस।
I. s-
मैं भी वीडियो चालू करूँगा, थोड़ा फील आएगा।
हाँ, please.
हाय गाइस, रुको, ये करते हैं, आज फिक्स करते हैं, वील फिक्स दिस। रिमोट शेयर दो, 102 लोग आ गए।
This is nice.
या ठीक है, सो आपने स्टार्टिंग का बनाया था, सोलो का बनाया था।
Yeah.
हे वानी इज आल्सो
Oh,
हियर, ठीक
hi.
है। डिस्प्ले का बनाया था,
Yeah.
विद जूम बनाया था।
Yeah, because there was supposed to be a window here because I was
ओके,
really confused towards the end of it. So I created a separate scene with a video, and because
हाँ,
my Zoom wala, the camera issue comes in, which I'm still
एक
trying to
सेकंड,
figure out.
एक सेकंड, एक सेकंड, एक सेकंड, मैं वो कह रहा हूँ। अच्छा, डिस्प्ले आपका ना, डिस्प्ले में आप नहीं आ रहे, रुको 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 रुको, ओह शिट मामा, आई एम सो सॉरी। ओह शिट, आई एम सो सॉरी। इसको क्लोज करो, हाँ, अपनी स्क्रीन को वापस वहां लेके जाओ। एक तो मैं मैक से कर रहा हूँ ना, तो मेरा तो कमांड्स ही होता है, तो लाइक
Where do I take the? Where do I?
एपोक को विद अनुराग इज टेलिंग, हाँ, इसको नॉर्मल वैसे लगा लो। हाँ, ऐसे करके ना, पीपल आर सीइंग अस लाइक, हाँ, ओके, 1 सेकेंड, एपोक को जूम में सेलेक्ट करने से होगा शायद।
No, then what happens is that OBS में my thing disappears.
हाँ, तो ठीक है ना, अरे यार, ये एक तो वो हो रहा है।
Just give
गाइस,
me.
हो जाएगा, थोड़ी पेशेंस रखें। आई एम सो सॉरी भूमिक, आई एम सो सॉरी, यू हैव टू सी दिस।
No problem.
हाँ, वानी, आपका वीडियो क्या सिलेक्टेड है जूम में अभी?
It's with OBS. Wait.
नहीं, हाँ,
Yeah, yeah,
जूम में
yeah.
नहीं।
It's the OBS camera.
अरे, आप यहाँ दिख रहे हो फाइनली। हाँ, फेस वो करो, और नॉर्मल करो, एचपी वाला करो। ए
The bad one. It's
द
out.
बैड वन, एंड द अदर वन वाज, और क्या ऑप्शन है?
There's Epoch, there's OBS virtual camera. So I use OBS virtual camera because Epoch camera doesn't work.
तो आप अभी ना नॉर्मल कैमरा से कर लो, आई एम सो सॉरी, लाइक आई वुड सजेस्ट कि लोगों को क्या क्या दिख रहा है। हाँ, ओ वानी, बट दे कैन सी, वापस स्क्रीन शेयर करो, 120 लोग आ गए।
I
कि
like
दिस
how this is going.
या ठीक है, अब हमें यहाँ पे आपको सबसे पहले बंद करना है।
Oh
मेरे को
yeah.
रिमोट शेयर दो। भूमिक, आई एम सो सॉरी मैन, भूमिक इज नॉट इवन अपोलोजाइजिंग एनीवेयर, इससे भी नहीं कह रहा, कह रहा ये तो सही में खराब, लेकिन it's okay.
This is supposed to be fun. Why am I here?
या अच्छा, अवानी, अब अपना आप नॉर्मल कैमरा चालू करो, जो मतलब जूम में जाके,
Yeah. The normal HP True Vision, no?
हाँ, वो आज आपको उसी से करना पड़ेगा। ठीक है, तो इसमें अच्छी फ्रेम बना लो पहले।
Yeah.
ठीक है, अब वापस से स्क्रीन शेयर करो।
Yeah.
We'll fix this, guys. Don't worry. रिमोट दो मेरे को. यार बट मेरे को
You
ये
know,
समझ. अच्छा एक
I
बात बताओ मैम मेरे को, आप ओबीएस क्यों नहीं बंद करते और जूम क्यों नहीं खोलते जब. हाँ.
what
नहीं बेसिक, आप ओबीएस मिनिमाइज कर रहे हो जब मैं स्टॉप स्क्रीन शेयर कर रहा हूँ, या आपका ओबीएस ही खुला होता है स्क्रीन पे.
I'm minimizing OBS. I don't
एंड
know.
ओपनिंग जूम.
I
एक बार
don't.
मिनिमाइज करो उसको. हाँ.
Yep.
स्टॉप स्क्रीन शेयर करो. और अभी आपको हम तीनों दिख रहे हैं फ्रेम में.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
हम्म.
If I do the OBS thing right now, what can you see? Hmm. So this is the
अरे
OBS
इसका
switch.
मेरे पास तरीका है. नहीं यार नहीं. हाँ. एचपी वाला करो, एचपी वाला करो इसमें. अरे आ गए. ये आप पहले नहीं कर रहे थे, आप पहले नहीं
No,
कर
no,
रहे थे.
no. The thing is, yes, the whole trouble is that the epoch camera doesn't get used with when you're like, so
हाँ
it
बट
doesn't.
अभी तो फिक्स हो गया ना, 130 लोग हैं वानी. So it's fixed for now ना.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll just like hide myself. एक तो मेरे को तो hide, मैं एक बार मेरा कैमरा बंद कर रहा हूँ. I'll be here for a minute. मेरे को हाइड वो नॉन वीडियो पार्टिसिपेंट कर दो पहले तो.
I've done that already.
ठीक है. एंड हाय भूमिक, I'll just mute and like वो कर लूंगा. ठीक है.
Yep. Hi, Bhoomik.
Hi. Hi to everyone.
Someone has written this was definitely staged to scare away Bhoomik.
Okay.
No. But I'm really sorry about it. I had foreseen it and I had
No,
warned you,
if
but
this
I
was
had.
staged to if this was staged to scare me away, then in that case, that would be so ironical based on the kind of book we chose to read today.
Yeah, we chose Rashmi Rathi. And there are people who were excited about it. But
Okay.
yeah. This is what I had
Technically,
warned you
I don't know
about, but I
if
really
we
had something that was really chota in size.
no we can go for the first three chapters of the set.
Sure.
Sarg in this case.
So, what have you been reading, Ajkal?
What have I been reading, Ajkal, is for the last 1.5 months, I have hardly read anything because I adopted this dog who kind of eats up almost every time,
Yeah.
all the time that I have, apart from working and sleeping. So, yes, I mean, I haven't read anything. Before that, I was reading a couple of things. So, the last thing I think I was reading was The Little Prince after I attended your lecture over there.
And
So,
are you done with
yeah,
it? Have you
before
read it?
it's still on my table. It's like right here. So before I could finish it, I also came home. So yeah, it's so full of symbols though. The one thing that I loved about it. So I just can't wait. That I can find some time in a day and I can just finish this up for the weekend.
That's nice.
Yeah. Apart from that, I mean, most of the things that I was reading this year was mostly nonfiction.
So, what did you
So
read in
yeah, I mean,
non-fiction? Just asking. Maybe.
so there are two books, right? Uh, which I actually came to know about through a third book. So all three are interconnected. So the first thing that I read a few years ago was this book called The Grand Design by Stephen Hawking and Leonard Mlodinow, where I was introduced to this fellow called Leonard Mlodinow, who's a theoretical physicist, right? He was a good friend of Stephen Hawking. His
Yeah.
latest book is actually called A Memoir of Physics with Stephen Hawking,
Yeah.
a memoir of friendship and physics with Stephen Hawking. So I was, checking up, what this guy is about, and then I came across this one book about him, which was called The Drunkard's Walk,
Yeah.
right? And that was about randomness, the natural randomness that is there in the universe. So while I was reading that, I actually came to know about this third fellow whose name is Daniel Kahneman, who is who won the Nobel Prize in economics, but he's a psychologist. That's exactly how
Is it
Mlodinow
the guy you
introduced
were
him in his
talking
book.
about kuch time pehle as well? I don't know, a
It's
few months ago
yeah,
you told me.
possible. His book is called Thinking Fast and Slow. Like he
Yeah.
was someone who actually came up with the idea of behavioral economics, right? So I basically spent this year reading Drunkard's Walk and going through Thinking Fast and Slow. The Drunkard's Walk has a funny story. So the current Drunkard's Walk that I have is the third copy that I bought. I lost the first copy. Another copy I gave it away to a friend who was going away, and then I had to buy a third one to finally finish the book.
Yeah.
The first time when I lost it is like the perfect incident of randomness I was introduced practically while I was reading the book. I
Yeah.
still remember I came out of Delhi airport, and I was standing waiting for my taxi, and there was this trolley, right there by my side. I just
Yeah.
put my bag on it, and I put the book in the basket, and I just looked at that. That's my bag, that's my book. How stupid do I have to be if I forget this stuff? And in about 14 hours later, next morning, I actually realized how stupid I actually am.
You lost it.
I still had the, thankfully, I had the bag. Right, that's how I look at it. Right, the book, I literally forgot the book right there with that. I was like, yeah, that can happen.
That.
Don't test the randomness. It's just gonna find its way.
Yeah. So we had. So we were actually planning to do a live stream much earlier, but uh, it got postponed, and we are finally here. And we've decided to read Rashmi Rathi. Yes.
Finally on this. Yeah.
And also, I want to point out that you were with us on Monday's quiz. How was your experience? So, guys, Bhoomik
Oh, it
participated
was.
in the quiz, and he was
Yeah, I
the
was the
wild
last
card.
guy on the
Yeah,
list.
you came first. Nietzsche said, "These are good."
हाँ
That's
नहीं चलो
one
मैं
way
अपना
to look
मन
at
यही
it.
बोल के समझा रहा था मेरे का इंटरनेट खराब था कोई बात नहीं
Yeah,
अगली बार
but it's okay.
better
Now you'll
connection
be
के साथ जाएंगे
prepared for the next time.
yeah absolutely I will.
Yeah.
But the first answer I kind of went by how that library was making me feel like I was like this feels like
Yeah.
Belgium. When you said can you guess the city I was like is there any other city other than Brussels in Belgium I was like that's it I guess.
In my head, I was like, "It's just the capital. There's no other city." But yeah, that
Yeah,
happened, so that's good. So
yeah.
a lot of people have. There is someone who said Rashmi Rathi is my father's favorite, Niharika. I think that's a cue that we should start it. We should start discussing Rashmi Rathi.
Actually, how I was introduced to Rashmi Rathe was so there was this one professor in my department back in my college.
Yeah,
Nobody liked that professor, but the, the guy had the one aura around him. And most popularly, he used to give Rashmi Rathe references a lot. So I kind of picked up upon it. I was like, what's so special about this book that this guy is so fond of? And then when I went through it, I mean, I couldn't love anything else more than this one piece of poetry. It's like this is almost everything. So the thing with Rashmi Rathi is, I guess, if someone who has not heard of or doesn't know about or hasn't read or watched Mahabharata, this can be like one of the perfect starting points that you can delve into that one great epic, right? And if you know what
yeah,
Mahabharata is, then Rashmi Rathi is like pure dessert, right? It's like with cherries on top, so beautiful.
yeah,
So that's what it is like. Yeah, it can be father's favorite, like what Ramdhari Singh was. Dinkar, they called him. He was the Rashtra Kavi, as they refer to him.
yeah,
And he has been an inspiration to a lot of freedom fighters back then. That's why he's known as the master of veertas, वीरता से भरी हुई कविताएं लिखना. So yeah, I mean, Rashmirti is definitely his magnum opus. One you can't go back from it once you read it once. That's it.
I think I came across Rashmi Rathi. I'm confused. It was either in my मतलब या तो हिंदी की क्लास में this was in our course or perhaps हमारे हिंदी elocutions होते थे and I think I picked it up for one of the preliminary rounds and that's how I remember the piece of poetry that you shared as well आज दिन को जिसमें Manoj Vajpayee is reciting that part. Only that part is
Right,
something that I
right,
know
right.
of.
Actually, that part is very popular because it's about Lord Krishna,
Yeah,
right? But Rashmi Rathi is actually about Karn.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean that one part is filled up with a lot of drama and a lot of action behind it. So yeah, that part is like really one of those
that is perfect
action-packed
for
cameos in
elocutions.
that. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
But the rest of the story is something where you're supposed to talk about Karn, right? But like
So
Lord Krishna in that
why
third chapter kind of steals the thunder.
but why do
Yeah.
you really like Rashmi Rathi so much? Like, what's the
So again, see, whenever we look at a piece of poetry or a piece of literature, which was like written back in days, right? First of all, you kind of try to understand what prompted this writer to write, right? Like, what was the inspiration that he worked on something which, like, this isn't a sonnet, or this isn't like an ode that is written. It's like it's a really long poem in itself, right? It could have taken maybe months for Dinkar to finish it, right? But that's when you realize, this poem is actually set down in the backdrop of an India which was seeking unification, which wanted inspiration to unite itself, right? Which wanted those kind of things to be circling around in art, where we look
Yeah.
past beyond things such as religion and caste, right? Which is what Kern is all about, right? Kern is about doing something, believing in something, and then just following and pursuing your dreams, right? Irrespective of every single problem that is there. And Kern is that one guy who spent all his life as someone from a lower caste, right? he, as they call him in Mahabharata, he's called a Sutputra, like someone who is born to a Shudra, right? That's how he spent his life. But that did not deter him. The social labels that were put on him did not deter him to follow what his actual dream was, right? He wanted to be the best warrior, the best archer who ever walked on this earth, and that's
Yeah.
what he was, right? He could not defeat Arjun, but he still was better than Arjun.
Yeah.
That's what he is. So it's kind of, you can maybe look at Kern as one of, in a way, flavored as Hector was, right?
Yeah.
If you go back to Roman mythology, right? But at the same time, Kern is much more than Hector,
Yeah.
right? Because Hector lived a royal life throughout. Like, Kern still faced a lot of problems, and then he had to earn everything that he had. He was never served anything on the plate. But yeah, I mean, there are so many things about Kern you can just put on a spectrum. There is the Danveer side of him. There is the warrior side of him,
Yeah.
right? There is that side of him which would always stand up for values, and then there's that side of him which we can say was the progressive ideology that Kern puts forward by the actions that he did. So yeah, I mean, this one poem gives you a lot of inspiration. You're going through problems in your life. It's kind of like exactly how Manoj Bajpayee said, right? If someone is struggling in their careers, maybe you're going through that rough patch sometimes, that we don't see things falling into place. We're working everything right, whether it's about preparing for an exam, maybe anything that people of our age are doing.
Yeah.
This one poem is something that fills you up with inspiration, and it kind of charges you up. That yes, anything is possible. You just
Yeah.
have to put our mind for it. So yeah, it's a very inspiring
Yeah.
piece. I mean, I can go on talking on it.
No, that's
That's
completely
what.
fine. I think someone commented, there were some interesting comments. Okay, someone has said Arjun and Karan were the two sides of the same coin. How much? Because I don't know, I honestly don't know a lot about Indian mythology. Like, I've read it while
See,
growing up and
so
I've
see
listened to
that
people.
comment. Yeah, see that line is actually prompted because Karan always looked up to Arjun as his arch rival, right? So
Yeah.
when you go into the first chapter of Rashmirati, it is actually that part where the Pandavas are being brought in front of the public.
I think your video has stopped. Go ahead.
Hello, am I
Yeah,
audible?
yeah, yeah. I think your video has stopped, Boomer. Rest. Everything is fine. Yeah. Are you there? Hello. Okay, why is this happening only today? Oh, you're
Hey,
back.
yes, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Seems. Where did you guys lose me?
I completely forgot. You said, I said they are the two sides
Yeah,
of
the
the same
same
coin.
same point. Yeah, so like Karan always looked up to Arjun as his arch rival,
Yeah.
right? And that's what you will find when you read the first chapter of Rashmirathi, right? The first chapter of Rashmirathi, the professor actually eloquates the scene where the Pandavas are being brought in front of the public for a show of power. That these are the people, the Pandavas and Kauravas, all the cousins and brothers, right? Who are now graduated in all arts, martial and the universal. They're here for you. वो अपने कर्तव्य दिखाने के लिए आए हैं. And that is where Karn is standing in the general public, and he steps out and he's like, I want to challenge Arjun right here, right now.
Yeah.
And that's where the entire argument starts. That Dronacharya has to step forward. That hey, come on, they're actually princes. They won't just fight anyone. He was like, so, like, uh, should this be the time, we can read something out of that part
Yes,
and
sure, sure, sure.
dwell on it?
Do you
Yeah. So
have a screen to share or something, or shall I open it? I could do.
don't have screen to share. Yeah, you can share the screen. Go to browser.
Uh,
Sure.
I am not sure what's happening. Wait. Oh, I'm still here. I'll just I'll do one thing. I'll just I think let's just do it without it because I don't want to ruin it anymore.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm so confused with whatever is happening.
No, I mean, say, like, for example, there's this one,
Yeah.
the second paragraph, second part said, तेजस्वी सम्मान खोजते नहीं गोत्र बतला के, पाते हैं जग में प्रशस्ति अपना कर्तव्य है, हीन मूल की ओर देख जग गलत कहे या ठीक, वीर
Bhoomik,
खींच कर ही
I'm so sorry I'm stopping you, but there's a lot of noise coming from your end. There's a. I'm not sure why.
yeah, there's a dog.
Yeah.
He's right downstairs.
Is that your dog Oscar?
Yeah, he's downstairs. He's outside, I guess. So he wants to come in, but I guess mom will have to check him in when she feels confident that she can come. Because the problem with him at this point is if you bring him in the night, he wants to eat anything that he can find, which is mostly his bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of have to keep punishing him in the night and just go out when he's completely calm. That's when we can let him in. And he'll just go on his bed and he wouldn't eat it. He'll just sleep.
That's one way of doing it. But yeah, cool, cool, cool. So yeah, now
Is the noise down now?
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, he's not bothering. Yeah. So the lines that I just read. तेजस्वी सम्मान खोजते नहीं गोत्र बतला के, पाते हैं जग में प्रशस्ति अपना कर्तव्य है, हीन मूल की ओर देख जब गलत कहे या वीर खींच कर ही देते हैं इतिहासों के। So like this part actually holds a lot of value in today's times because
Yeah.
of the beautiful social order we see around us nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't know if you heard that Supreme Court actually did not list down the anti-conversion law by UP as illegal. He just
Yeah.
sent them हम एक बार explain करता हूँ कि illegal कैसे है. So
I
yeah, I
I
mean
know.
the one thing that actually defines Karan in this first chapter is that how Karan is someone who was, despite
Your
not
video has
having a
stopped
family
again,
near
Bhumik.
him, despite not being a royal figure.
Bhumik,
Hello.
your video has stopped again. I'm so sorry. I I don't know. I think we can't like I
Hello.
Hello? Hi Bhumik, can you hear me?
Yeah, am I audible? Back to
You're audible but we can't hear you. We can't see you, sorry. The video is paused. I like how the stream today is moving. Like something keeps on happening. And Bhumik is okay, Bhumik is still here. I thought you left us for a second.
yeah, I think yeah, but I think it should only keep getting better.
Yes. It's
So
yeah. I like
yeah,
what's
there's another.
happening tonight. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you were saying there is this another. I'm so sorry I keep on interrupting you.
Yeah, there's another paragraph. नहीं फूलते कुसुम मात्र राजाओं के ऊपर, अमित बार खिलते हैं वह फुर दूर कुंज कानन, समझे कौन रहस्य कि प्रकृति का बड़ा अनमोल, गुदड़ी में रत्ती चुन चुन कर बड़ी कीमती। So फूल नहीं फूलते कुसुम मात्र राजाओं के ऊपर. Like, this is again one of that lines that kind of tells you that if you haven't, even though you haven't grown up with privilege, you can still get.
Yeah.
So
So this is very much relevant even today, even in the political scenario that we're dealing with.
uh, yeah,
But yeah. So what is your favorite part of the entire, because I've just read one part and of course I by default like that
yeah.
part. What's your
So again,
favorite part?
so
Yeah.
if again, like everything in this, every part has something in this poem that you can take something back on.
Yeah.
Like for example, the first part that we're talking about, it's about how you know uh, the confidence that is there in Karn because of the education that he has had, because of the skills that he has, right? That he does not feel himself unequal to even the princes. He goes ahead and challenges a prince to fight him and show that, is he more skilled than me? I just want to check it out. But when you go to the second chapter, that's where you actually learn that how does Karn has all those skills,
Yeah.
right? Where we're introduced with another character, which is predominant not just in Mahabharata but in almost all Hindu epics. That's Lord Parshuram, right?
Yeah.
So Lord Parshuram is actually looked upon as the source of all martial wisdom that is there in the world, right? Because
Yeah.
he, three of his top students are the first one being Bhishma Pitama, again the one of the pivotal characters in Mahabharata. The second one is Guru Dronacharya himself, and the third is Karna. So these are three students which learned from uh, Lord Parshuram, and then they went on to play their parts in the great epic. Now the difference with uh, Karn was that Karn did not tell Parshuram when he went to seek wisdom from him that he belongs to a lower caste, right? Because had he disclosed that, Parshuram would not have entertained him. And that's what the second chapter of this poem actually illustrates, right? That he actually becomes the most favorite student that Parshuram has, right? But then one day, Guru is actually taking a nap, and he has his head on Karn's lap, right? Now that's actually a problematic scene to imagine. That why is a teacher putting his lap on his students' thighs? But then again, okay, that's what the scene is, right? And trying not to offend anyone's belief with this sense. I do find it weird. Like, why was that happening? Okay, but then what happens is there comes this one bug who keeps biting into Karn's leg. But Karn does not moves his leg because he doesn't want to disturb Guru's sleep. But when the Guru wakes up, he's like, oh, come on, no Brahmin can ever bear this amount of pain, right? If you were a Brahmin, you would have just shaken your leg instantly and you would have woken me up, right? So I'm pretty sure you're not a Brahmin. It's like, then who the hell are you to tell me right now? So that's where he actually, tells his story that, had I told you this before, you would never have taught me. But I want this wisdom, right? Why do I not deserve this wisdom and everyone else does? Right? Just because I do not belong to that to a princely class, or I do not, or I am not, I wasn't born a Brahmin. Why do I be deprived of the knowledge and this? So Parshuram actually, gives him a curse first that, you will not be able to use the greatest weapon that I've taught you, that is the Brahmastra, right? When you'll need it the most, you will not be able to use it. So then Kern starts crying. कहता अरे मतलब कहता अगर मैं वो यूज ही नहीं कर पाऊंगा तो फायदा क्या हुआ? And then the guru is like, okay, fine. I mean, I really like you a lot, but I have to punish you somehow. But then apparently, okay, fine. I'll still give you this. That even though just the Brahmastra is not what makes you a warrior, right? That's just one of the weapons you have, right? Even without the Brahmastra, you'll still be the greatest archer who ever walked on this, which he actually proves later on going forward. But like that's one part of Kern where like he without the privileges he still went on to seek that wisdom. But then there's another side of him, a Kern that grew up as an orphan, right? Who did not know who his mother is, who did not know who his father was, right? Who grew up in the family of a lowly class, right? And still struggled his way through. But that still kept his character in place. Why he's referred to as the Danveer Kern, right? So if you read the first two chapters, you still come to know that what Kern is and where he comes from. But that still does not illustrate to you that how can someone who comes with such a background be still be so generous that he would give away his life if someone asks for it, right? How does that happen? So again, the entire character transformation is like one of the most seminal things that anyone would have ever done, right? So Lord Vedvyas is someone who's credited to have written the Mahabharata, and Lord Ganesha to have acted as the scribe when he was reciting Mahabharata. That's why I think you would have seen the Ganesha idol with a broken tooth, right? Have you seen that? Did you ever know why was that tooth broken? He was writing the Mahabharata and he ran out of ink, right? But Vedvyas was like, I'm just going to keep saying it. So he broke his tooth and he started writing. that's that's how that happened. So yeah, I mean, so like the first three parts that we're talking about actually illustrate just that point, right? That Kern, despite everything, still had his goal right in his life, right? Still had his character in place. He still did not deter. He never got distracted, right? And at the end of it, he always followed his goal, and that's one character when you try to analyze him, then at any point of time it just appears कि उस आदमी के दिमाग में अपने गोल के सिवाय और कुछ है ही नहीं। वो सिर्फ एक गोल के पीछे पड़ा हुआ है और कुछ नहीं चाहिए उसको लाइफ। He just wants to avenge Arjun. That's one. And second of all, he wants to prove that he doesn't have to belong. Like he was in the first chapter itself, he's actually made a king by Duryodhan, right? Because Guru Dronacharya says that if you want to fight the princes, go first earn a kingdom. So Duryodhan steps forward that okay, if he should have a kingdom to fight, then I give him one of my kingdoms, right? So he becomes a king in the first chapter itself, and that's how the story starts, right? And now he's a king. Now would you fight him? But then again, Guru Dronacharya is like, this should not happen because this is not going to set a good example because he was always very obsessed and protective about Arjun, right? He wanted to protect him from anything that comes his way. So that was another. So Guru Dronacharya knew that this fight might not end well, right?
Yeah.
So if it was not for Krishna's planning in Mahabharata, Karn might still have defeated Arjun. But then again, Krishna was smart
Yeah.
enough to navigate his way forward.
That's one. That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I just realized while I was reading it out that it doesn't feels right if I read, these small parts. It can either be, read out in one
In
flow,
one, yeah.
yeah, right, by someone, or someone can listen to it. So maybe you can, like share in the description or something the links to these things.
Yeah.
Like there's this one, there is someone on YouTube who has actually recorded the entire Rashmi Rathi chapter by chapter,
Wow.
and that has been uploaded.
So
And
how
you
many
can listen to
chapters
it
are
there as well.
there in Rashmi Rathi? I know it has 83 pages. मुझे Google करने पे ये
There are
पता चला.
seven
Seven chapters.
chapters are there.
Yeah.
Yes, right. So, but matlab, so Rashmi Rathi is sort of, it introduces you to Mahabharata, right? And you can't just read Rashmi Rathi and be done with it. It kind of, opens up an entire universe to you, right? Then, if you haven't already been through Mahabharata, then going through Mahabharata is again one of the most mind-opening things
Yeah.
that you like. I have another like, oh yes. So there's this one book by Dr. Shashi Tharoor,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's called Bookless in Baghdad. It's actually a collection of all the essays,
Yeah.
some of the essays, not all the essays. So it has one of the essays called Mining the Mahabharata,
Okay.
right? I don't think you'll find it online. I think वो copyright protected essay है, वो शायद उनकी किताब में मिलता है.
Yeah.
So this essay of him, he actually explains that how the Indian society at any given point of time has always and only been inspired by two books. The first
Okay.
is Mahabharata and the second is Ramayana,
Yeah.
right? And that's how he says that's how any average Indian mentality works. So like taking an example, right? Like we can use that example right here, right now.
Yeah.
So for example, when we interact with other people, right? Interacting with a stranger or
Mm-hmm.
even with our close family members or close friends. So you always embody the other person through the character of Ram,
Okay.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
like in Tulsi Das's Ramcharitmanas, Ram is someone who is hailed to be as Maryada Purushottam Bhagwan Shri,
हाँ जी.
right? So Maryada Purushottam is basically an interpretation of the perfect man, right? One who's honest, one who's loyal, you know, and someone who just keeps his character intact and only does good for other people and never does anyone harm, right? So you always expect the other people to act like Sri Ram to you, that they will never harm you and they will do everything in their best interest only which actually adds value and is good to your life. But when we ourselves have to act to someone else, we kind of, twist ourselves and become Krishna.
Yeah.
We see in
Sorry.
uh, no nothing where we actually see that fact that हमने जैसे महाभारत में क्या लिखा है भगवान श्री कृष्ण का एक फिलॉसफी होती है कि सही मतलब धर्म धर्म का रास्ता
Yeah.
पकड़ने के लिए, ठीक है, अगर धर्म के मार्ग पर आपको चलना है, ठीक है, तो उसके लिए गलत रास्ता पकड़ना भी गलत नहीं है, राइट?
Yeah.
तो अगर आपका पर्पस ठीक है, तो उस काम के लिए आपको गलत रास्ता भी अपनाना पड़े तो वो भी जरूरी है, राइट?
हाँ जी.
जैसे महाभारत पूरी इसी बात पे बेस्ड है कि दे आर बेसिकली टू सेट्स ऑफ कजिन्स फाइटिंग ईच अदर, राइट? कौरव कौरव जो हैं उनका राज अधर्म का दिखाया गया है, एंड दैट्स हाउ द स्टोरी मूव्स फॉरवर्ड, एंड धर्म पांडवों में है क्योंकि भगवान श्री कृष्ण उनकी तरफ, एंड देन अगेन द एंटायर स्टोरी आल्सो अनफोल्ड्स लाइक दैट। बट धर्म और अधर्म की लड़ाई में अगर आपको अपने ही परिवार से भी लड़ना पड़े तो वो सही है, ठीक है। हम अपने आप को हमेशा लॉर्ड श्री कृष्ण की फिलोसफी पे रखना पसंद करते हैं, whereas we still expect the other guy to be श्री राम।
Yeah.
So again, these two epics, that's just one of the small interpretations that I'm actually counting from that also. But ऐसी बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स हमें और मिल जाएंगे जहां पर ये दो एपिक्स हमारी लाइफ को इतना इन्फ्लुएंस आज तक करती आई हैं जो हमें अनकॉन्शियसली पता नहीं था, बट थिंग्स हैव बीन मूविंग इन दैट डायरेक्शन। फॉर एग्जांपल देखो, एक तरीके से देखा जाए तो महाभारत थोड़ा पेट्रियार्कल टेक्स्ट भी है, राइट? Which Ramayana also is a patriarchal text,
Yeah.
right? Like a woman is not allowed to have more marriage, more than one husband in his life. But then King Dashrath had four wives,
Yeah.
right? How does that make sense, right? So again, both these texts are patriarchal. That's one of the roots जहाँ से आप ये समझ सकते हो कि इंडियन सोसाइटी पेट्रियार्कल है क्यों, मतलब ऐसा क्या हुआ था, right? There has to be cultural investment into all these things which made us patriarchal. ऐसा तो नहीं था कि हम बस आर्यंस इंडिया में अंदर घुसे और इंडिया पेट्रियार्कल बन गई, मतलब बहुत चीजें हुई होंगी, ठीक है, बट दीज आर द टू टेक्स्ट जो आज भी हमारे पास है जिनको पढ़ के हम समझ सकते हैं कि सोसाइटी किन किन चीजों पर चल रही
Yeah.
है, राइट? सही क्या है गलत क्या है वो हमें आज भी इन्हीं टेक्स्ट में से सीखने को मिल जाता है जिन पर सोसाइटी चलती है। अगेन, हमारा इंटरप्रिटेशन क्या होगा वो तो आप पढ़ने के बाद ही बना सकते हो, बट ओवरऑल यस, आई मीन व्हिच इज व्हाई यू सी दैट भगवत गीता अगेन हैज a serious cult following, right? Because those are the words of Lord Shri Krishna, right? And if read in the correct with the correct translation, if you read them, then those things again, I don't think, I haven't come across a better set of philosophical rules to live by, except from that one text. So yeah, I'm not trying to be a religious fellow over here. Just trying to be someone who read them as literature. Even that can be uh, I guess, offensive to some people, that why
Yeah.
do I read mythology as literature? But yes, that's somehow I went through. But no, I still respect the books all the same. I don't, just keep them with coffee on the same table. So
That's nice. But I had one question for you. That so in today's political scenario, how
mhm.
would you आप महाभारत and रामायण से क्या लेकर आएंगे? For example, so okay, there's this guy, I'm not sure who has written it. The Palace of
रामायण से
Illusions,
तो
the
पूरा पूरा
Forest of
रामायण से तो पूरा का पूरा मंदिर आ रहा है अयोध्या में, और क्या लाने की जरूरत है हमें?
I was
मेरे ख्याल से काफी आ गया है।
yeah, there's this whole yeah, okay.
हाँ,
Um, I try so hard not to be political on the streams, but yeah. So so there is this guy. I don't remember the name of the author who's written Palace of
mhm.
Illusions, Forest of Enchantments, and he has have you read any of the books?
I've read the like I've read the synopsis on these books.
Okay,
I
huh.
haven't read it. The Palace
So
of Illusions is actually the Mahabharata on Draupadi's
Draupadi's
lives.
point of view, Forest of
Right.
Enchantments, Sita ki taraf, like point of view se. So what's your take on that? Like all of these
Mhm.
Mahabharata and Ramayana have been written from the point of view of
Yeah.
a
See,
make
if you're
person,
going to
right?
Mahabharata, like you must have heard this very popular saying,
Yeah,
right? That एक औरत की वजह से महाभारत का युद्ध,
yeah.
है ना? अब यहाँ पर भी ना थोड़ा open to interpretation है ये पूरा scenario, ठीक है? So who is that woman according to you?
Yeah.
Who is that woman according to you?
They say Draupadi, right?
Yeah, but it's not Draupadi.
It could
Right. You
also be
have to
their
actually
mother,
trace
right?
back into the entire story. Not even their mother.
Okay,
Actually, their great grandmother.
okay,
Right. So if you Hotstar पे ना ये इन्होंने reboot बनाया था महाभारत का, ठीक है? It's very well made, right?
yeah,
It has good graphics also, and the
okay,
story and the screenplay and the dialogues are also really well crafted.
yep.
तो you can go and watch it. तो उसमें क्या होता है कि उसमें जो शुरुआत होती है इस पूरे
Yeah.
कहानी की, वहां पर क्या होता है कि in the starting there was the king Shantanu, and he did not have a wife, but he had a girlfriend whose name was Satyavati,
Okay.
right?
ठीक है.
So both of them were having an affair, and then one day, uh, Bhishma actually, whose name was Devvrat originally, he
हाँ जी.
emerges one day, and he confronts Shantanu. That's when
Okay.
Ganga actually appears, and Ganga tells Shantanu that this is actually our son, right? And I just kept him away from you just so that I can make him worthy of your kingdom, right? So that one day he can come and he can be your successor. तो
Yeah.
शांतनु बड़े खुश हो जाते हैं कि अरे ठीक है, मतलब मेरा बेटा आ गया फाइनली, ठीक है, अब मैं इसको अपना राजपाट देके मैं तो अब चिल करूँ. तो अब वहां पर क्या होता है, अब सत्यवती टेल्स हिम कि ठीक है, कहते हैं आपने चिल करना है तो आप आ जाओ, हम यहाँ पर विल बिकम फिशरमैन, एंड दैट्स हाउ विल स्पेंड आवर लाइफ. आप मछली पकड़ के लाना, मैं बाजार में जाके बेचूंगा. देन Shantanu is like, yo, come on, you're going to be the queen.
Yeah. Your audio is coming like बहुत दूर से
Hello,
ना. Yeah, yeah. Hello. Yeah, it's good now. We can hear you.
hello,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
hello.
Now you're stuck. Now your video is stuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Right. Okay.
I-
So
I'll
at
just,
that
I'm so
point of
sorry I'm stopping here. Shubham has asked
okay,
us where is this conversation headed for. So, hi
this
Shubham.
we're now deep into Mahabharata.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are diving deep into Mahabharata, etc. No name, okay, yeah. But it's interesting nonetheless. So, please continue.
Mhm.
I love listening to
हाँ,
stories.
तो
I'm
क्या
enjoying it.
होता है कि हाँ, तो क्या होता है कि सत्यवती tells शांतनु कि
हाँ जी.
भाई मतलब ठीक है, your son is going to take the kingdom now, he's going to rule next, then you come and you live with us like fishermen. ठीक है, आप मछली पकड़ के लाना, मैं बाजार में जाके बेचूंगी. Then
Yeah.
शांतनु is like, what are you saying? You're going to be the queen. तुम मछली बेचने की बात कर रही हो. वो कहती कहती काहे की queen? I will be the stepmother of your son, right? And my children will be his step siblings, right? Step siblings do not have a future, right? Those people will just take up small ranks in your army and die for you. That's what will happen. Your son is going to be. So अब क्या होता है, यहाँ पर पूरी कहानी ट्विस्ट होती है, and then Devvrat stands up, right? Devvrat again, Bhishma, who was actually labeled as the Shishya Shresth, the best student ever that Parshuram ever had, right? Like there came a time someone एक स्टोरी में आगे टाइम आता है जब एक अम्बा करके एक कैरेक्टर है, शी गोज टू परशुराम और वो कहती है कि भीष्म ने अधर्म किया है. तो परशुराम इज लाइक कि आसमान में छेद हो सकता है, भीष्म अधर्म नहीं कर सकता. तुम झूठ बोल रही हो,
Oh,
ऐसा हो ही
I've
नहीं सकता.
seen DD1 पे महाभारत आती थी ना. I've seen this
हाँ, वो
scene.
पुराना, yeah,
I've
the
seen.
old series is the best. The old series is definitely the best, but then again this
Yeah.
this new reboot is also good. So हाँ, तो वहां पर क्या होता है, then Devvrat steps up. He's like, okay, if this is what you feel, then I pledge that I will never marry, right? I will not be the king, right? And
Yeah.
if this is what grants happiness to my father and you, then I will do it. Now, if Satyavati had not fought to be the queen, right, Bhishma would have been the king, right? A different bloodline would have ruled Hastinapur, and Pandavas and Kauravas would never have existed.
Yeah.
So the actual पर्सन जिसकी वजह से आप कह सकते हो कि जहां से महाभारत टाई बैक होती है, जब पूरा पॉलिटिकल जियोपॉलिटिकल सिनेरियो चेंज कर देती है, वो थी सत्यवती. तो स्टोरी वहां तक जाती है एक्चुअली. तो अब होता क्या है कि नाउ महाभारत इन इटसेल्फ, द एक्चुअल piece is 18 volumes long.
Yeah.
That's how long it is, right? It is difficult. Like it's not difficult, like there are different perspectives. Some people write to like to start reading from a specific part, right? And then there's a difference. So if you're reading it from a different perspective, you'll have a hindsight view. Like it's not incorrect that you felt that Draupadi was the cause of Mahabharata, but the point is your point of view was constructed from a different, from like one
Yeah.
hindsight view of the story and not the entire big picture. So महाभारत में वो चीजें हैं कि इस like because of the length of Mahabharata, it happens that interpretations can be different. Like even I do not know the entire Mahabharata. At any given point of time, there must be something that I do not know about it, right? Because again 18 volumes long. Like I have my Mama Ji, I think I've referred, I've talked about him a lot.
Yeah.
So I came across this book by Devdutt Patnaik. It was called Jay. It was on Mahabharata. So he came home and I'm like, Arey, I know I found this really good book. He's like, कौन सी? मैंने कहा जय. मैंने कहा ये ना महाभारत की इंटरप्रिटेशन. वो कहते बेटा मैंने 18 वॉल्यूम की पूरी महाभारत पढ़ी हुई है, मैं इंटरप्रिटेशन क्यों पढ़ूंगा इसकी. मैंने कहा ये बात भी ठीक है. फिर the next thing that I learned that day was that whenever you'll read an interpretation, you'll always have a biased point,
Yeah.
right? So, and another professor of mine said one really good thing when I think at that time I was talking about an era of darkness to him by Shashi Tharoor.
Yeah.
So I told him, मैंने कहा सर ये ना मतलब ये ऐसी बेवकूफ़ी भरी बातें मैंने बोली हैं, फिर मुझे जवाब मिले, फिर मेरा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू सुधरा है उन चीज़ों में. तो मैंने उनको बोला, मैंने कहा सर वो ना बड़ी अच्छी किताब है. मैंने कहा वो ना बहुत ही अनबायस्ड पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से लिखा है शशि थरूर ने. And that's when he just snapped back at me. He's like, see, Bhoomik, there is no such thing as unbiased account of history. Any account of history is always biased. So, ठीक है. So that's how you just keep adding things, and then at
Yeah.
any and again that's what life is. That's what Mahabharata is. At every point of life, you're going to have a different opinion about it.
Yeah.
And again, as you go through Mahabharata, you're going to have a different opinion about different characters at different times. जैसा
So,
कि
so where
Game of
अपने
Thrones में so
अपनी
Game of
माँ.
Game of Thrones
Okay.
Game
Sorry.
of Thrones kind of actually picked up the same concept, right? So, for example, there are like I have a friend of mine with whom I was talking about symbols and high concept in story, right? So the same concept was very well picked up by Game of Thrones at one
Yeah.
point in time. So a high concept is actually uh, that's called the unity of opposites, right? Two exactly opposite characteristics blended into the same person, right? Like for example, if you take up Jon Snow, what makes Jon Snow such an iconic character is that he was a blend of two opposite things. He was the king, but he never knew it, right? He was he was actually the rightful heir who denounced the throne, right? And he served at the court, right? That's what makes his character so special. Then again, another good example is House MD of High Concept, a drug addict who's a doctor,
Yeah.
right? So Mahabharata is again full of symbols and high concept, right? You have a character who possesses exactly opposite two qualities,
Yeah.
right? Which kind of make him up who he is. Two symbols, he or she represents two symbols which are exactly opposite to each other. So
This
yeah.
also brings me to another question, which is completely
Uh-huh.
different from Mahabharata. I know you love House MD. What is that one
Yeah.
thing you hate about that show? See, I love House as well, but what is this one thing that you hate
Mhm.
about that show? Perhaps I know what I hate, not about the show, but the followers of the show. But what is your take on the show? I know you love him. That's
I
one
think
thing you.
I'll just say that what do I hate about the show? I think that's what I say.
Yeah.
I hate this one part where like Katner had to leave, right, because Obama
Yeah.
की campaign आ गई थी.
Yeah,
I
I
was like,
know.
that character could have added a lot more to the story because Katner had a lot of things coming.
Yes.
So yeah,
I,
that's
I,
my
I
dislike.
kind of hate how they killed him off. They didn't have to like kill him. Like, just
Yeah,
don't
I
write
mean,
him off. Bring him back after the thing
I
is
mean
done, the campaign is done.
that was like an unnatural turn that the story had to take, right? Even the writers wouldn't have been prepared to do, but they had to do it. So I think the way things change and how suddenly goes into they put House suddenly under this phase where he's mentally disturbed and he has to go to an asylum later on, and all those
Yeah.
things start adding up. That one of my staff committed suicide. I was like, if you go back to House doesn't give a fuck if one of his staff commits suicide. He's just gonna say that he was stupid. That's what House is. But then that one event, then they extrapolate too much on House.
I'm stuck on season 7 or season 8 where he and Cuddy start dating and I just can't get through it. I'm like, नहीं हो रहा मुझसे.
Well, you haven't finished it yet.
Because I'm stuck there. I just don't want to watch it
Okay.
anymore. I'm just stuck there. I did not like
Should I give you a spoiler on
yeah,
that? I think you already have. You know
I
what,
know the
what
spoiler.
happens
I know.
next. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I just can't get through it. I want him and Cuddy to
They
break.
can't get through it, but
Yeah, of course.
it's such a beautiful scene. It's such a beautiful scene. I think it's the last episode of season 7. Where House goes back to Cuddy's place to return her his comb, and then she sees that Cuddy's actually hosting the family, and she's seeing someone else and everything. Then
Yeah.
House just comes back to his car and he just asks Wilson to step out of the car. Wilson steps out. House he drives it forward and विल्सन देख रहा है हो क्या रहा है, वो आगे लेके जाता है, यू टर्न लेता है, वापस आता है, गाड़ी के घर में घुसाएगा अंदर
I
ठीक
know,
है?
I've seen that scene.
अंदर निकल के जो खोल के कहता है forgot your comb. That was good.
I hate how some people start aspiring to be like House. Like,
No,
listen, that.
House actually grows on you. I
Yeah.
think the first time you watch House, there comes a time where you start to. There are two things that happen when you watch House in the beginning. If you're watching it the first time,
Yeah.
पहली चीज आप हर छोटी बड़ी चीज को बहुत बड़ी बीमारी समझने लग जाते हो अपनी जिंदगी के अंदर, ठीक है? और दूसरी चीज ये होती है कि आप somehow हाउस में खुद को ढूंढने की बहुत कोशिश करते हो,
Okay.
because again house is a unity of opposites. Yeah, he's so attractive with the things that he's bad but he's always right,
My
so
favorite character, surprisingly, is not House. It's that
mhm.
blonde guy, blonde
Chase,
Australian, the one
Dr.
who's the
Robert Chase.
yeah, the Chase, Doctor Chase. I really like him. I don't know why I find him very sorted. No, he's not sorted at all, but I just like how he makes his decisions.
If you remember correctly, he's the one who kills that dictator which comes in once.
Yeah, you don't have to say that out loud on a stream.
And then house actually protects him, कहता है कि नहीं नहीं यार सही किया, ऐसे
Yeah.
नहीं किया.
Okay. There's a common.
There's this one, there's just one last thing. This is one really good episode where House is actually diagnosing a corpse that was buried under the earth. And then you're coming here, इसको क्या कहता, death is a consequence, not a symptom.
Oh yes, I still remember the episode where there's a cat that predicts deaths, and eventually
Oh yes,
it turns out that your
because
body, yeah. And I was like, I
I
need to
think you
get a
just remember
cat.
it because there was a cat. Yeah, I think you only remember that episode.
That's what
So
I used to pitch a cat to my mother. It did not work clearly. That's why I don't have a cat yet. But I was like, you know what cats do? But this is an interesting comment. Shashank has said, okay, so did they just change the stream topic to discussing Mahabharat and not reading Rashmi Rati? And now we are at House.
okay, like disclaimer, Vani warned me that time. I don't,
You only want to talk about
I
Mahabharat.
wouldn't. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि हमने जानबूझ के किया, ऐसा हो सकता था, ऐसा मुझे पहले बताया गया था, ऐसा हो गया तो नॉट नेचुरल चीज.
Yeah.
There can be, one funny thing. Uh, can we find Mahabharat in house? Think about it.
I remember how you
House,
said,
the one similarity between two characters, if we have to take up, house. What take? What would be your point of view if you have to, match house to one character?
I don't
Which
know
one
a
would
lot
it be?
about Mahabharat, but if I were to, House would definitely be. Did Arjun have a big ego? But he was also good at
No,
what he
I
did.
think if house has to be, I think house would be Lord Krishna.
Oh, no.
That's who house would be. Because so
Oh,
you,
yes.
you you really have to go through Mahabharata and see, how clever Krishna was.
Yeah.
Krishna was the avatar of Lord Vishnu. He was like, okay, you have to get things right. वो एक बहुत अच्छा मीम देखा था मैंने, जिसमें ना वो बोल रहे होते हैं कि जब भी धरती पर अधर्म बढ़ जाता है, तो नीचे ना वो बना हुआ था, मुन्ना भाई बने हुए थे, ठीक है? मुन्ना भाई स्पॉनिंग सर्किट, तो वहाँ लिखा हुआ है कि लॉर्ड विष्णु टू ब्रह्मा, राइट? सो मुन्ना भाई इज विष्णु एंड देयर ब्रह्मा इज सर्किट, ठीक है? सो जब भी धरती पर अधर्म बढ़ जाता है, लॉर्ड विष्णु, अपन को एक बॉडी चाहिए. Vishnu would always appear at the end of a yug, in a
अपन को
human
एक
form.
बॉडी चाहिए.
आपको एक बॉडी चाहिए.
Oh god.
वो बहुत सही मीम था.
This is actually great. अपन को एक बॉडी चाहिए. I still remember when. Are you religious, if I may ask?
I don't think so.
Cool. So,
Again, I think I'm even confused if I'm spiritual, but I think if I have to choose between the two, I think probably spiritual will be the one.
I'd like to believe that I am spiritual. Because then I wouldn't have any.
Yeah,
Like, what is it called?
I like to believe I'm spiritual because I think that saves me a lot of debate.
Yes. That's one. But there's also
Yeah.
this one thing I realized ki, as you grow up in life, you need something that you can throw your tensions on. So there is this imaginary person sitting up somewhere where अच्छा मुझे ये दिक्कत है, I don't want to think about it, please भगवान जी बचा लेना. It's like, no, you don't care about it, you've just practically taken off the tension and thrown it in the air. off
Uh-huh.
to somebody's head. That person might not even exist. But like आपने अपनी तरफ से, it's just a pillar of strength for you. Not
No, I
strength,
somehow
but
still
like,
do believe, like for example, there is something, which is the source of all the energy.
yeah,
It's somewhere. Now, again, recently I've begun to, understand that one part. Not understand, at least agree to that with that one point, that just because, something cannot be proven does not mean it's wrong. You have to understand, has something been disproven, then of
yeah,
course, yes, you don't have to believe in it. But if something is not proven yet, again, you have to keep an open mind towards that.
yeah.
So
That's one. But I think eventually what we chose to believe in is, मतलब जिससे हमें सबसे ज़्यादा, I don't know, what would be the right word? So,
इसमें ना एक मेरे को शांताराम याद आ रही है यार. शांताराम का एक पैराग्राफ पढ़ेंगे यहाँ पे.
sure, why not?
कुछ
Can
ज्यादा
you
ही वो.
can you also share your screen if you're doing it online? Because okay, you're getting a book.
No.
Great, great.
Yeah.
I am so sorry. It's okay to be religious. Won't make you uncool. Yeah, it's completely okay to be religious. Grublet,
Yeah,
chacha.
we're not saying anything is wrong.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
everything has
It's
a
it's
purpose.
great. Whatever helps you get
Yeah.
through life.
Oh yeah. So this is actually the first paragraph of the first chapter, right? Uh, so it goes like this: that it took me a long time and most of the world to learn what I know about love and fate and the choices we make. But the heart of it came to me in an instant, while I was chained to a wall and being tortured. I realized somehow through the screaming in my mind that even in that shattered, bloody helplessness, I was still free to hate the men who were torturing me or to forgive them. Now, it doesn't sound like much, I know, but in the flinch of the bite of the chain, when it's all you've got, that freedom is a universe of possibility. And the choice you make between hating and forgiving can become the story of your life.
That's nice.
So again, it's always a choice that you make between those things.
Yeah,
Whatever
I've
life.
read this book, The Fall by Albert Camus. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right.
Oh.
And there's this particular line that he said about God and Master. So I read The Fall recently, and I think I've underlined 75% of the book because I was like, ooh, okay, it's like
Hmm.
so relatable. This is what I think. And
Yeah.
there he writes, wait. At the end of every freedom, there is a sentence, which is why freedom is too heavy to bear, especially when you have a temporary. Wait. Yeah. Um, for anyone who is alone, recognizing neither God nor master, the weight of days is awful. So one must choose a master, God being out of fashion now. Besides, the word no longer has any meaning. It's not worth the risk of shocking anyone. Why
Hmm.
those who are so serious and love their neighbors when it comes down to it? Nothing distinguishes them from being Christian except that they don't preach in churches. Wait, there was something about God. Mm.
Hmm. Hmm.
One atheist I know, a novelist, used to pray every evening. It did not make any difference. What a hard time he gave God in his book. What a thrashing, as someone whose name I've forgotten would say. If we are to believe him, 80% of our writers, if only they could do so anonymously, would write and hail the name of God. But they sign their
Hmm.
names according to him because they love themselves and they hail nothing because they hate themselves. Okay, I mean, the
Hmm.
bottom line is that you need a master to carry on with your days.
Again,
Otherwise, it'll just be awful to not have
try-
something that you can.
trying to so if we try to trace back to our points of discussion, that's kind of what explains the popularity between Modi and Trump.
Yeah,
That you just need a master who'll solve everything for you because you can't do it
yeah,
ultimately, right? That's what actually traces things back. That you just want someone. कि हाँ वो है ना वो करेगा ना
yeah.
मुझे क्या जरूरत
I just, yeah.
है मोदी जी का मंदिर है यूपी में पता है तेरे को
It is there.
है yes yes
Everything
there
that
is a
happened,
temple.
I don't want to say it out loud, but like there are some parts of the country, and whatever news comes out of those parts, 95%
No,
of the
see,
times it's
again,
just shocking.
again, like just because because I have to also not make your online channel look like that it is biased in any way. And even I have to just to put my perspective right. I'm not for or against Modi ji. I'm not for or against Congress or any other party as well, right? How I like to go forward is I'm someone who believes in a book. That book is called Constitution. ठीक है, तो उसको पढ़ के काफी चीजें जो होती है ना,
Yeah.
मतलब आप देखते हो कि हाँ मतलब ये कैसे है, वो वैसा होना चाहिए नहीं होना चाहिए, right? Those are the kind of things which should make you comment on the current
Yeah.
situation of whatever is happening. That's all, right?
Yeah.
Because जैसे एक सिंपल सी फिलोसफी ये है कि मोदी जी आज हैं, अब he is not vicious, pretty much, or he might even be because nobody knows his history, right? He just appeared out of somewhere, and like the things do not really add up back in his past. But at the same time, if he just in case he's not vicious, just in case,
Yeah.
we have to keep our priorities clear that we might have to deal with humans. So yeah,
Uh,
just keep comparing.
I like how USA is all like it's shaken up because of whatever happened in the country, and yeah,
Yeah, I don't understand why people were so pissed off with Trump here in India. I mean, yeah, I mean there's only so much we have to deal with,
yeah.
so much of Trump.
It's funny how we look at other countries and we blame so much there and whatever is happening, and we never look at apna ghare what is it called, the right word, apna angan, whatever.
मतलब अपने घर की सफाई करे बिना दूसरों
Yeah,
की गली
but we'll quickly
में
move on from this and we'll get back to Mahabharata. You were telling us the story.
which
You had reached that part. I don't know. No, we had actually completed that story,
we
but
finished that.
yeah, we went to House MD and we started comparing. Do you actually want to read Rashmi Rathi too?
I can read it. I mean, okay. So
Okay, I have one question. Where does your knowledge of Mahabharata come from? So have you read the book? You haven't read the whole set? I
no,
know.
I haven't read the complete book. Right.
Yeah,
So I think I've read parts of it. I've watched a lot of Mahabharata. I think that's where most of the knowledge of Mahabharata in this country people get from. Right. That they watched it on TV.
yes.
Other than that, like it's very difficult to read it because it needs discipline and a lot of time because 18 volumes
Yeah,
of
I think there was someone who was
right.
asking you who should whether they should read it in Hindi, Sanskrit, or English, because like I can't find that comment now. But
See, I again,
yeah,
I
he's
would say
asking like Bhoomik
it's a
sir,
very,
is it a good idea to read Mahabharata in Hindi or English, or should I learn basic Sanskrit first?
I would say it's a very platonic thing to think that you can read it, right? Because we can't read it. Honestly, it requires so much of your attention and time, and it's so huge that
Yeah,
it's not practical to read.
yeah.
So I would suggest, rather watch it maybe on Hotstar, or if you can find the old series somewhere, download it via torrent or
Old
something.
series, you mean the one that used to come on DD1, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
with Nitish Bhardwaj as Krishna, right, and Mukesh Khanna as Bhishma.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, if you can find that somewhere, of course, I guess that's the best way to actually go through
yeah,
Mahabharata, rather than reading it. Because maybe our education has somehow not even enabled us so much that we will be able to understand that much more.
yeah.
Unfortunately. So yeah, at the same time, I think it's best if you can watch it because you I can tell you where you can read it, but if I haven't read it completely, I think it would be unfair of me to make a comment on that. But again, being practical, I don't think like it takes us months to finish one novel sometimes. How can
Yeah.
someone finish 18 volumes of the same story, especially with this level of technology around us? We can't do
Your
it.
Mamaji did, but then that I don't know when he read it.
Yes. Like you were showing that Kindle in the beginning, that I actually wanted to gift him a Kindle once. And I just asked him, "Do you have a Kindle?" He apparently already had a Kindle.
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, do you use it?" मैंने कहा, "अब चलो ये तो देखिए, मतलब ये use कितना करते हैं इसको." He was like, "I don't use it." I was like, "Why do you have it?" He
Surprise.
was like, see, just imagine if one day I'm reading and I fall asleep and it falls out of my hand on the floor and it's gone. I was like, मैंने कहा, अब इस वजह से हम Kindle नहीं पढ़ेंगे, ये भी ठीक है, चलो. But then one day I thought, I should buy one. I went online and it was like 7,000 या 10,000 का था.
Yeah.
एंड देन आई कंपेयर्ड, मैंने कहा अगर मैं 10,000 की किताबें खरीदूं तो मुझे शायद 3-4 साल आराम से लगेंगे, 3-4 साल मैं शायद किंडल तो यूज नहीं कर, सो आई
God.
फेल्ट माई सेल्फ टू बी अ पर्सन की जो ना शायद ज्यादा टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं यूज कर पा
Yeah, I
रहा.
cannot use technology. I can't use a lot of technology. I just get tired. I
No,
get
it's actually
very
Kindle
tired.
is really good if you have to travel,
Yes.
but then मैं तो वो बंदा हूँ जो किताब भूल जाता है बाहर रख के, तो किंडल तो मतलब इतना दुख
I
सहने
meant
वाली
in
जरूरत नहीं
general,
पड़ती.
like technology is tiring, not just Kindle. I meant like
हाँ.
in general, it's an influx of so much information.
Oh, remember, I think, did I send you that video, One Nation, One Charger?
No, 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 you did not.
Right? Oh, so it was like कि One Nation, One राशन कार्ड की सब बात कर रहे हैं, One Nation, One Charger,
One
लैपटॉप का अलग
nation, one
चार्जर,
what? One nation, one?
One Nation, One राशन कार्ड की बातें सब कर रहे हैं,
Okay, yeah.
ये तो One Nation, One Charger की बात कौन
One charger. Oh, I need that.
है?
Have you
फोन का
read
अलग चार्जर, लैपटॉप का.
have you read The Fountainhead? Because there is this guy Hemant, he's asked, like, I don't know, I saw this comment 10 times at least. He's asking if you've read The
Okay,
Fountainhead.
I've read about it. I haven't read it.
That's also a good way to go about it. Manas is asking what's the easiest way or the best way to read Mahabharata. I think Bhoomik just said, like, you
I
can.
think, like,
Yeah.
if we're talking about the easiest, the best way, just read Rashmi Rathi first.
Yeah.
And that should just tell you, how much interested are you in Mahabharata, actually.
Yeah.
Like, Rashmi Rathi can be the best starting point
I
if anyone
remember
wants to read.
I remember reading this story अपने हिंदी के syllabus में in class 9th or 10th जिसमें कुंती was the mother, no? Kunti, I sound
Kunti was the mother of the
so
Pandavas.
ignorant. I'm so sorry. Kunti Kunti goes to Karn and she tells him कि मैं तुम्हारी माँ हूँ और अपने भाइयों के
Yeah,
साथ
so
अब मत करो and वापस आ जाओ. Now, that was I think my first
Kunti
introduction to
actually, yeah, Kunti actually had Karn out of wedlock,
yeah
right? So she couldn't actually tell anyone that she had
yeah
a son. And so which is why Karan had to grow up in anonymity, right? And he didn't even know, who he is, where does he come from. And then Kunti goes to him and Kunti asks कि मतलब मुझे अपने पांचों बेटे सुरक्षित चाहिए. And then Karan is like तुम्हारे 5 बेटे ही रहेंगे, ये मैं तुम्हें वचन. So that basically means that मैं छठा बेटा हूँ तुम्हारे 5 बेटे जरूर रहेंगे.
yeah.
So that was all about his rivalry with Arjun. It was like मेरे को बस अर्जुन से मतलब है, बाकियों से.
Yeah. I sometimes hate how जब आप like पढ़ने लगते हो, so all these heroes that have been painted to you from आपकी previous generation, somehow you start hating them. Like not hating them, but you're like ठीक है इतना भी
Like कौन से heroes?
that's what I'm. This is my question to you now. So sometimes when you read certain like because I think हमारा ये भी कि हम बहुत किताबें पढ़ते हैं and there is so much of wokeness happening around us. तो फिर हम बहुत सारे
नहीं
characters की
वो
flaws भी
wokeness वाले किताबें नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं. I'm pretty sure.
no, I don't mean
I don't
wokeness.
think
I
so. I
mean
really doubt.
अच्छा, I
wokeness
didn't
वाले बस किताबों के ना titles और writers के नाम रख रहे हैं मेरे ख्याल से.
no. Okay, ठीक है. So my question is this.
हाँ.
Because I would say so a better word for this would be because we are realizing a lot of things. So just scriptures we read now, there are certain flaws that we start seeing in everyone. Like Mahabharata, maybe he was saying that it has been written from the point of view of a man. But patriarchal setup से आता है. So is there one character जिसका बहुत अच्छा build up हुआ था and then when you finally read it for yourself, like build up as in like आपने बचपन में सुना था like they tell us like this character is the best. Like Karna was such a Danveer person, Krishna was so nice, blah blah blah. But then you slowly realize like how cunning these characters were as well. So what was that one character जो like really disappointed you कि मैंने सुना था oh shit he's such a nice character but he turned out to be such an asshole, if I may say so. Sorry.
That's actually a very good question. I mean, I have like a bunch of answers with me, but I'm just confused that which one would be rated the highest. So I guess if I have to go with one, let's just go with Lord Krishna, right?
Yeah.
Although I guess if I ever have to worship a god, I think it will always be Lord Krishna. right? Because of the way I see he could traverse through the complexities of the society and the humans that moved there.
Yeah.
So yes, that really impresses me about Lord Krishna about that. But so you see, when we were growing up about all
Yeah.
these characters, whereas whether it was Lord Sri Ram, Lord Sri Krishna, we always learned them in different versions.
Yeah.
Like you heard about the baby Krishna separately, then the Krishna in his youth, you
Yeah.
hear him in a different note, who does Ras Leela with gopis, and the Banke Bihari version of Lord Shri Krishna. And
Yeah.
then it was surprising. Then you grow up and you're like, कि, अरे ये तो महाभारत में भी है. I'm like, oh यहाँ क्या चल रहा है? ठीक है, यहाँ पे क्या कर रहे हैं? So first you try to connect the story कि अच्छा ये यहाँ तक कैसे आए और इनका क्या लेना देना महाभारत में, ठीक है? And there you see a lot of distinction,
Yeah.
right? That Krishna, who was a child, who was so naughty about everything, and then as a youth he was, I don't want to use any bad word, but like, he was pretty famous among the ladies, right? And but then when he grows up, right,
Yeah.
when he is like when he's this mature Krishna, he has so much of wisdom in him. तो पहले तो ये थे, ये आई कहाँ से? मतलब ये तो कंस से लड़ रहे थे बचपन में, माखन वाखन खा रहे थे, मतलब ये पढ़ाई कब करी? मतलब इतना ज्ञान लेके कहाँ से आए?
Yeah.
ठीक है, वहां पर ये हो कि अच्छा चलो ठीक है, he's Vishnu, he has all that.
Yeah.
But then you see that a lot of times it happens that like Krishna has to do things. uh, for example, the way he dealt with Karn, the way he dealt with this character called Bharbarik, right? Just so that Pandavas do not lose the battle, right? And the right may always win, right? The things that he had to do. Those that sometimes feel like कि यार मतलब innocent people had to lose their lives so that what was true and what was dharma according to Krishna would prevail, right? So वहां पर एक वो आता है कि मतलब is Krishna's vision the only vision of dharma, right? Like
Yeah.
yes, Kauravas were wrong, right? But then there were so many other innocent people who also lost their lives, right, in that story. And that always had something to do with Lord Krishna's interference,
Yeah.
right? So again, he would interfere with the natural order of things, right? And he would just, because at that one point of time that Yug was ending and Vishnu had to set everything right. So there's this one character that I mentioned, Bhargari. So he actually uh, is that character. At the end of it, the rishis asked him that what did you see in the battle of Mahabharata, because he witnessed the entire battle.
Yeah.
So he said that I didn't see anything in the battle. It was like there were no Kauravas, there were no Pandavas. There was just Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra, which was killing all the people who were a part of what was wrong. That's all that I saw in that battle. So वहां पर आपको लगता है कि मतलब so महाभारत, where like Mahabharata is something you can take different views on. It is about so many characters, but it's about nobody. It's about just this one person, Lord Shri Krishna. Right. So yeah, I mean, these are the things that I feel, he could have done it better or something could have been there. But then again, those are apparently the very things about him which I admire at the same time.
Yeah.
Because, when no one else did, he had the will to do.
Mhm.
Because there were two people in Mahabharata, one who would not do what is right, and the other one who would, जो अपनी जान दे देंगे लेकिन धर्म के रास्ते से पीछे नहीं हटेंगे, ठीक है? But then you needed a third guy, who would take the wrong way to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So I think that would be Krishna in that sense. But yeah, that was a good question. Like in that way, so even if we talk about Lord Shri Ram, right? You remember Ram in different versions, right?
I
The
just, yeah, Ram
Ram before
disappointed me
his
the
marriage,
most. Yeah.
right? Ram disappointed people because he gave up Sita in the end, right? But then again, there are different versions of Ram, right? There
Yeah.
is Ram. So Ramcharitmanas is actually divided in all those parts, right? The first one is called Balkand, right? Where all the characters are children, right? Then it keeps on going on when Ram is getting his education, when Ram is in his youth and he's fighting the Rakshasas, right? And then when Ram gets married and then he goes. So every time the character is transforming into something else. So it's not the same character that you can analyze from one place to another, right? So मतलब एक standalone point of view बनाना थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है when you come to these two texts about any character.
Yeah.
Which is why Ramdhari Singh was a thinker. Ramdhari Singh was a genius that he was able to do it for Karn, right? Like he was able to put everything about Karn into one point, which is Rashmi.
What was the flaw of Karn? मतलब कर्ण में क्या कमी थी, if I may ask? Since everyone had flaws.
Uh, like I can only give my opinion. I
You
can't
look so
say that
smitten by
Karan
Karan
mechanic.
right now.
No, I've always been smitten by Karan. Karan में कमी, again, as I said,
Yeah.
right, there are ऐसे लोग थे महाभारत में जो सिर्फ अधर्म के रास्ते थे, ऐसे लोग थे जो सिर्फ धर्म के रास्ते थे, ठीक है. And then there was Krishna, right? Now, Karn was someone who joined hands with Kauravas, right? Now he did not join hands with them just because he wanted to actually compete with Arjun, right? He joined hands with them because of, again, Duryodhan, who's also referred to as Suyodhan, at different places, right?
Yeah.
His character actually takes steps in different ways. So like he has motives to do things, so he does good things also and he does bad things also. So like acknowledging Karan on merit, right, was also one of the good things that
Yeah.
Duryodhan did, although it was also influenced to actually find someone who can compete with Pandavas. But then again, when you take the logic that Duryodhan already had 99 other brothers with him, why did he need one more guy? At the same time, it's not that he was only competing with other people. Duryodhan was apparently, in a way, was of a broader mind than other people at that point of time. That because someone was that talented, he would acknowledge him and he would make him like he would treat him like his brother for the rest of his life. But I guess not being able to have not having the right company maybe was something which was the flaw of Kern. But Kern knew it, right, that he's not in good company. But then he was like, what else can I do? These are the only people who actually acknowledge me.
Yeah. Okay. M- M- Munjuluri Chandrasekhar Weber, and I'm so sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. He just paid us a super chat, and he's asked you like
Oh, nice.
thoughts on interpretation, like liberation of Sita. I do not.
uh,
Yeah.
Liberation of Sita. I think he's
I,
referring to the time when Lord Shri Ram let her go.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so as
Lets her
well.
go, abandons her, two different
I think
interpretations.
my problem wasn't that he lets her go, let's go for whatever. My problem was that I just don't know. Like sometimes as a
So,
ruler, you have to be wise enough
if
to
I
not listen to every.
if I
Yeah.
remember Devdutt Patnaik's words on this, I think he wrote this book Sita, where he was analyzing Ramayana.
Yeah.
And then there's this one part. I think one of my friends actually read it out to me once. So it was a time when Lakshman was actually going to drop Sita off in the forest.
Yeah.
Right? And Lakshman was crying because Lakshman उस mentality का इंसान था कि मतलब जो सीता से दिल से प्यार करता है, जो एक कहावत होती है ना कि भाभी माँ के समान होती है, तो लक्ष्मण के लिए लेजिट वो माँ के समान थी.
Yeah.
ठीक है, ही वाज लाइक कि ऐसा कैसे कर सकते हैं श्री राम कि उन्होंने आपको छोड़ दिया. तो वहां पर अब देवदत्त पटनायक actually translated it like this, that Sita responds to Lakshman that Ram can never be wrong, right? It is only us who have to understand that what was the reason for the actions that he's taking, and just go ahead with the consequences because those are in the best interest of everyone. So this is what Devdutt Patnaik comes up, right? And this probably is closest to the translations that we can do with respect to Ramayana.
Yeah.
अब the point is कि यार मतलब if you're going to uh, like exploit too much into the text, right, and you're going to come up with your interpretations, you're not wrong. You may have your interpretations of Ram being right or wrong with your very own reasons which are there. But at the same time, I mean, you don't have to blame the text for it, right? Just let the text be where it is,
Yeah.
which also goes in the other way, that you don't have to religiously worship this text, right? The text is supposed to be learned from and not to be
Yeah.
worshipped as if it's the only source of wisdom on the earth, right? Because I think it was Joseph Campbell who wrote this at one point of time, that religion was supposed to be something which motivates people to do bigger things in life rather than binding them back and holding them
Yeah.
behind rather than moving. So yeah.
I think my problem with Palace of I haven't read Palace of Illusions. I've read The Forest of Enchantments. So it's from Sita's perspective, and I think my only point of view, my only problem, not only, but one of my many problems with the book is that it forces you to reimagine Ramayana in a way that
Yeah.
probably would have not happened. Like, because I at this moment, because feminism started very late, like women rooting for their rights for themselves, for each other, and therefore what
You.
I believe is us time pe like I can be absolutely wrong, but there were some women who did not really want to stand up against their husbands, and therefore,
यार पता है
yeah,
ये इस on this very note मेरे को याद आया, like I was thinking about this earlier this evening, that so as I said, right, that Ramayana and Mahabharata are both set up in patriarchal backgrounds, right? uh, Now what happens next is that there is another character in Mahabharata itself, right, which under different interpretations actually goes up and says, not says, I mean, who's actually a transgender in some interpretations,
yeah,
right? Who transforms from a woman to a man because she had to fight Bhishma and
yeah,
kill
yeah,
him.
yeah, I think that's Amba. I
Yeah,
Yeah,
Amba
Amba.
transforms into Shikhandini,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, something like that.
So again, so I mean, it's a treasure trove of so many references that you can find,
Yeah.
right? And again, I guess the only thing that we should remember when we're reading something which has a mythological or religious background, that just keep an open mind, have your interpretations, but don't enforce them on everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. I think that's the only and most important thing that we should be careful about when we're reading something religious, right? So, for example, there can be so many people who disagree to me right now, right? But all I have to tell them is that I'm not enforcing my opinion on anyone at all. If you
Yeah.
disagree to me, I welcome that dissent, right? So, I think that's very important. That's something we
I
kind
think,
of lose
yeah,
track of.
we have lost that actually, because I think Mahabharata and Ramayana in themselves are beautiful pieces of literature.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
somehow, there are some people who blindly worship it, and then there is one form of, there's one part of the
Okay, I
society
think
that just
people
does
who
not want to read
blindly,
it.
yeah, no, I think no, no, no. I think the people who blindly worship have never read it.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
reminds me of the, I don't know if you've read it. It's called 40 Rules
Because
of Love.
if someone has, so it's like I totally get it that very few men on this earth or women on this earth can read Mahabharata. Like that's true. Because maybe I will if I live long enough, right? One day I'll read
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I mean, you can't read Mahabharata, but if someone has the patience to read Ramayana or Ramcharitmanas, so both are different texts. Ramayana is in Sanskrit and Ramcharitmanas is the translation by Bharat. If someone has the patience to read that book, that person cannot have an arrow. I totally disagree just because of the logistics of that. कि मतलब इतनी मोटी किताब अगर कोई पेशेंस से बैठ के खत्म कर सकता है, वो आदमी नैरो माइंडेड हो ही नहीं सकता.
Yeah.
So I think the only people who go with those kind of things are people who have never read
Because
it, and that applies to almost all religions. The
that
most
applies to
radical of the
yeah.
people have never read their texts.
This reminds me of this thing that I read in this book. It's called 40 Rules of Love. It's by Elif Shafak. A lot of people have read it, but there's this one particular part that has stayed with me and nothing else from the book. It's where one of the characters, Shams of, I'm pronouncing it wrong, but he tells Rumi that, or he tells Rumi's son that Quran sabne padhi hai, everyone has read. So I believe everyone reads Gita and everything, but there are different layers to diving into literature. Surface value पे पढ़ोगे तो you'll only get whatever you want to understand. Then there is diving deep into the study of everything, and that's when you start taking in metaphors and similes and references and whatever that text means. So a lot of people know कि महाभारत में क्या होता है, रामायण में क्या होता है, but everyone takes it on face value. Nobody likes to dive deeper because हम में इतनी patience है ही नहीं.
That's true. I mean, उसका बहुत पॉपुलर एग्जांपल ये है कि पहले तो रीजन ये है कि दैट वी आर ओनली इंटरेस्टेड इन स्टोरीज, राइट, एंड वी आर ओनली इंटरेस्टेड इन दोज पार्ट्स ऑफ द स्टोरीज व्हिच वी वांट टू यूज फॉर आवरसेल्व्स. तो
Yeah.
फॉर एग्जांपल, यार मैंने ये क्या देखा था ये ना, अभी जब लॉकडाउन के टाइम पे रामायण फिर से टेलीकास्ट होनी शुरू हुई थी ना, तो एक हमारे ग्रुप में, हमारे अपार्टमेंट वाले ग्रुप में एक किसी ने मैसेज डाला था, कहते हैं कि तो क्या था यार, कि घर पे रामायण चल रही है और एक और कौन सी चीज प्ले हो रही थी यार, I really have to look up that once again.
Yeah.
So it was like कि रामायण और एक और शो था जो एक साथ प्ले
I
हो रहा
think
था
comedy
एंड
nights with
पेरेंट्स,
Kapil.
नहीं नहीं उसमें ये था कि पेरेंट्स कंफ्यूज हैं कि मतलब बच्चों को राम से कंपेयर करें या किसी और से, मतलब so
Okay.
was that I think I completely screwed it up, but yeah, I mean that was one thing. So for example, uh, like a part of the generation, is a lot into Ramayana because they want their children to be like Ram. As I said, again going back to Shashi Tharoor's versions of
Yeah.
it, right? That people pick up things which matter truly to them,
Yeah.
right? कि हाँ मतलब हमें हमारे बच्चे ऐसे चाहिए, ठीक है? So they would be like कि हाँ रामायण बहुत अच्छी है भैया, वो ऐसी चीज सिखाती है, बच्चे हमारे साथ बैठ के देखें और बच्चों को समझ में आना चाहिए माँ बाप को बस रिस्पेक्ट ही करनी है हमेशा, यू कैन नॉट आर्ग्यू विद,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what Ram and all of his brothers do कि हाँ ठीक है मतलब जो पिताजी ने बोल दिया वो सही है. But yeah, I mean, if we take it on face value today and we bring it here, यहाँ पर फिर दिक्कतें शुरू हो जाती हैं, ठीक है? Where you see, for example, like छोटे मोटे एग्जांपल नहीं लेंगे, जैसे छोटे मोटे एग्जांपल तो कोई भी इमेजिन कर सकता है, बट मुलायम सिंह यादव एंड अखिलेश यादव, द फॉलिंग अपार्ट ऑफ द फादर एंड द सन,
Yeah.
राइट? अब अगर उन्होंने रामायण पढ़ी होती, हो सकता है अखिलेश यादव शायद मतलब अपने पिताजी से लड़ाई ना करते. I actually remember this ladai very clearly because it was 2017 January. I was at Delhi airport. I missed a flight, and along with me, another man missed a flight. His name was Ram Prasad Singh, who was actually one of the chief advisors to Akhilesh Yadav at that time. मुझे पता नहीं था ये आदमी कौन है. तो मेरी और उनकी साथ में फ्लाइट मिस हुई थी. बस हम दोनों एक साथ बैठे हुए थे एक चेयर के. बातचीत शुरू हो गई उनसे. मैंने कहा साहब आप किधर? कहते यार मेरे को तो अर्जेंटली जाना ही पड़ेगा. कहते मेरी तो अपॉइंटमेंट है चीफ मिनिस्टर के साथ. अब वो आदमी इंग्लिश बहुत अच्छी बोल रहा है. मुझे लगा, मैंने कहा यार आप आईएएस ऑफिसर वगैरह हो कोई, मतलब कोई सिविल सर्वेंट हो? कहते नहीं नहीं यार आई एम अ पॉलिटिशियन. कहता है चीफ एडवाइजर. मैंने कहा ओ ओके. फिर मैंने कहा सर एक बात बताओ, हम थोड़ा चाय पीने बैठ गए तो थोड़ी बहुत बातें हो रही थी अच्छी खासी. मैंने कहा एक बात बताओ, उस दैट वाज एग्जैक्टली द टाइम व्हेन मुलायम सिंह यादव एंड अखिलेश यादव हैड दिस फॉलिंग अपार्ट dramatic, and everyone was saying that this is just a political stunt, that he wants to gain mileage and sweep all his father's votes and everything. मैंने तो पूछा सर मतलब is that uh, uh, dispute between the father and the son true? He actually put down his cup of tea and he looked at me. कहते it's so true that it's not letting us sleep at night.
Yeah.
मैं समझ गया था. मैंने कहा मतलब सपा सरकार गिरने वाली है. और उस साल वही हुआ. योगी जी केम टू पावर एंड मोदी जी ने बताया कि यही तो थे तुम्हारे सपनों के राजकुमार. So like living in UP, it has its own charm about a lot of things. Like there
Yeah.
was
I
one time
believe you.
one of my friends came over. Yeah, we sat in his car and we went out for a drive. रात के 12 साढ़े 12 बज गए होंगे और एक जगह हम रुके, ठीक है? And we just stepped out of the car in the fresh air, ठीक है? And then he was like कि भाई यार ज्यादा देर खड़ा नहीं हो सकते. ठीक है क्या हुआ? कहता आगरा है, कहता कोई आगे कट्टा टिका देगा सब पे, फिर क्या करेंगे? मैंने कहा नहीं कोई बात नहीं. मैंने कहा ये एरिया अपना पहचान का है. मैंने कहा यहाँ कोई कट्टा नहीं टिका. तो हाँ वो वाला फियर यूपी में रह के सच होता है कि हाँ मतलब आपको कोई रास्ते में गोली मार के चला जाएगा, आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते.
I have a younger sibling. So I
Yeah.
introduced him to one of my friends who's from UP, and the first thing my
Mhm.
brother asked him was, "भैया आपके पास कट्टा होगा?" I'm like, "What, dude?"
कहाँ से था वो?
वो यूपी, वो लखनऊ से था, बट ऑफ कोर्स लाइक यूपी वाले
नहीं नहीं
हिमाचल.
लखनऊ वालों के पास तो नहीं. मुजफ्फरनगर वालों के पास हो सकता है.
I don't know anyone from मुजफ्फरनगर, but he wasn't like even a great friend कि हाँ ठीक है भाई जो पूछना है पूछ लीजिए. भैया आपके पास कट्टा होगा? Like why? Why would you ask something like this to someone you just met? But yeah, that's one thing. I don't want any. Yeah, I
But yeah,
panic
that
whenever
actually reminds me of
someone
one more
like yeah,
reference.
yeah.
There was actually one more thing. I think it was I heard Kanhaiya Kumar speaking it somewhere. He was he was actually addressing like a BJP rally at one point. So there he actually highlighted this very beautiful thing to me. Like for example, we are talking about a version of Mahabharata and a version of Ramayana. We have to be remember this very carefully कि हम सिर्फ एक specific version की बात कर रहे
Yeah.
हैं, ठीक है? There are folk and local versions in small villages across this country which we don't know.
Yeah.
Right? उसका एक बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल उसने दिया था. कहते आप बोलते हो जय श्री राम, कहते हमारे गांव में जय श्री राम नहीं बोला जाता. हमारे गांव में बोलते हैं जय सिया राम। कहता है
Yeah.
क्योंकि सीता के बिना तो राम हो ही नहीं सकते।
Yeah.
एंड यू सी दैट एग्जैक्ट डिस्टिंक्शन फॉर लॉर्ड श्री कृष्णा ऑल्सो, दैट इफ यू गो टू गुजरात, एकता कपूर के सीरियल में बहुत पॉपुलर देखा होगा, जय श्री कृष्णा बोलते होते हैं वो, ठीक है, वो
Yeah.
तुलसी के घर में, वीरानी खानदान के अंदर।
Yeah.
बट इफ यू कम टू वृंदावन एंड इफ यू गो टू मथुरा, जय श्री कृष्णा कोई नहीं बोलेगा, दे ओनली से राधे राधे।
Yeah.
तो अगेन यू नो, ये हम काफी प्रिविलेज्ड वर्जन्स की बात कर रहे हैं जो हमने पढ़े हैं थ्रू यू नो
Yeah.
दोज काइंड ऑफ सोर्सेज एंड एवरीथिंग। बट देन अगेन देयर आर पीपल इन दोज villages and all those areas जो शायद पढ़ नहीं सकते, they've only heard these versions, and they have spent their life knowing those to be the only truth.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think any one person can know any of these texts. That's why I say there can be different interpretations that anyone can have, right? And if you've spent your life knowing that interpretation, it's not, that's what it is for you.
Yeah. So, for example, like,
But, yeah.
I think you probably know about it, and I don't know a lot of mythology, but like, I grew up in Kulu.
I don't know a lot of mythology. I think I only
You,
know
you're way better than I
we're
am.
talking about right now.
So कुल्लू में so everywhere most of the places रावण जलाया जाता है. कुल्लू में however मैंने वहाँ पे 10th वगैरह तक पढ़ाई करी थी, so वहाँ पर instead of रावण getting burnt, वो राम कोई बोलता नहीं वहाँ पे, रघुनाथ जी बोलते हैं, एंड रघुनाथ की यात्रा निकलती है, रथ यात्रा. सो देयर इज अ प्रॉपर रथ जिसपे रघुनाथ जी की मूर्तियाँ which was stolen from अयोध्या. There's this thing, I don't remember who the king was at that time, but अयोध्या से राम की मूर्ति चुरा ली थी, I think along with his wife सीता. And the thief was caught at the banks of a river. And वहाँ से जब भी अयोध्या की तरफ उसे लेके जाते थे, वो मूर्तियाँ बहुत भारी हो जाती थी और किसी से उठाई नहीं जाती थी. और जब कुल्लू मनाली की तरफ लेके जाते थे, they were बिल्कुल हल्की in that direction. So the मूर्तियाँ were brought to कुल्लू मनाली because of the weight issue. And then वहाँ पर स्थापित की गई. So अब हर दशहरा पे instead of burning राम, they take out a रथ यात्रा. 10 days का दशहरा होता है. फर्स्ट डे पे रथ यात्रा निकलती है, एंड वो सिर्फ एक ही बार निकलती है आई थिंक साल में. रथ यात्रा को निकाल के थोड़ा सा दूर ले जाते हैं, एंड 367 और हाउ मेनी देवी देवताज लिव इन द वैली, दे कम एंड दे स्टे फॉर 10 days. एंड 10वें दिन रथ को वापस अंदर ले जाया जाता है जहाँ पे भी उसका प्लेस है, एंड द देवी देवता गो अवे. सो दैट इज़ व्हाट हैपन्स इन कुल्लू का दशहरा. कोई रावण नहीं जलता है, इट्स जस्ट रघुनाथ जी की यात्रा होती है, फिर उन्हें वापस भेज देते हैं.
That actually reminds me of this one story I read when I was a child. It was by Enid Blyton.
Yeah.
Right? The story's name is The Land of Far Beyond. Have you heard about it?
Yes, I've heard about it. I've never read it.
The
But
Land of
yeah.
The Land of Far Beyond. So it was actually Enid Blyton actually just wrote a children's version of The Pilgrim's Progress.
Yeah.
Right. In the Land of Far Beyond. तो उसमें यही होता है कि मतलब if once you taste that there was some water or potion that you taste it, right? All the things, all the regrets and all the bad things that you've done in your life, they'll just cling onto your back like a heavy weight, which you can't lift up, right? And it was called the City of Turmoil, where this action takes place. And then from City of Turmoil, they have to, make their way to the Land of Far Beyond, where they can actually shed all that weight.
Wow. That's nice.
So it kind of reminded me of that story, that वो बहुत सारा weight लगा था उनके ऊपर, and then they have to make that journey.
Yeah, the murti would just grow so heavy कि आप अयोध्या के तरफ ले जा नहीं सकते थे. So I don't know if it's true or not, but
do they have like any philosophic interpretation कि मूर्ति heavy क्यों होती है?
there's nothing.
Try finding that out the next time you're there.
Sure,
मतलब
I'll do that.
भारी क्यों? Because if you ask those pundits, right? So like as a Brahmin myself, we people are really clever to just make up stories and distribute them at the masses. So if you ask the local Brahmins who run that mandir and everything, they will have some story. मतलब उनसे पूछोगे ना कि ये भारी क्यों जाती है, ठीक है, तो वो कुछ तो बताएंगे तुम्हें कि मतलब ऐसा ऐसा होता है और ये भारी या तो मतलब लोगों का पाप का धड़ा होता है, something.
It was because रघुनाथ जी it was because वो भारी इसलिए हो रही थी because रघुनाथ जी अयोध्या नहीं जाना चाहते थे, उन्हें कुल्लू मनाली आना था. He wanted
कुल्लू मनाली आना था.
Yeah, that murti wanted to be. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the one reason. But yeah. And then there is Mandi ki Shivratri. It's so confusing. I was in class 10th. I knew
Mm-hmm.
Kulu was the valley of gods because
Mm-hmm.
300 something देवी देवता रहते हैं उस पूरी valley में. Then I moved to Mandi, which is my hometown. That is also valley of gods. Then Himachal is also valley of like land of gods, and UK is also land of gods. Like it's confusing because we have nothing to say but like being the land of gods. It was supposed to be funny, but the joke did not land. I'm so sorry.
No, I mean, see, another thing is that जैसे ये जो मतलब ये थोड़ा सा वो वाली बात हुई ना कि मतलब again the perspective that we have to look at. So like for example, I'm right now in Agra. I've
Yeah.
mostly grown up in this city only. So like what is Agra famous for?
Taj Mahal.
Exactly, right. So people know Taj Mahal, but then again मतलब आप शहर में आओगे तो शहर की हिस्ट्री पता चलेगी आपको.
Yeah.
ठीक है. Like Agra also has four of the most ancient Shiv temples of this country in Agra.
Yeah.
Right? And like there is an annual event जहाँ पर उसकी परिक्रमा लगाई जाती है. Like you go across the entire city, people actually walk it on foot. तो मैंने सोचा था कि इस साल मतलब अगर कोरोना अगले साल खत्म हो तो अपन जो है थोड़ा वो मैराथन स्टाइल भागेंगे पूरा. बट देन अगेन वो थोड़ा वायलेंट होता है प्रोसेशन, तो उसमें आप ऐसे नहीं जा सकते, मतलब कोई फोन वोन लूट के भाग जाएगा आपके. बट उसमें क्या होता है कि एक यहाँ पर आगरा में एक और कल्ट थ्योरी है, बहुत बढ़िया. मतलब कि ना जो ताजमहल है ना वो एक्चुअली एक शिव मंदिर था जिसको शाहजहां ने ऑक्यूपाई करके कन्वर्ट कर दिया एक उसमें टूम में. तो मैं वेट कर रहा हूँ कि ताजमहल कब डिमोलिश होगा यहाँ पे.
Wow. You know, as soon as you said that, your video paused. You can only hear you. But yeah, you're back. Yeah.
हेलो.
Yeah, you're
या
back.
आई वाज लाइक I'm kind of just
Waiting
thinking
ki
कि ये
kab.
ताजमहल कब डिमोलिश कर रहे हैं
We're
ये लोग.
discussing extreme things on stream now. I just don't know what might set people off. I think once people got offended because I don't know.
नहीं, I don't know. I think people get ticked off because again for the same reason that no one has the patience to know the entire story,
Yeah.
right? If you ask people like the question that I asked, वो कौन एक औरत थी जिसकी वजह से महाभारत की लड़ाई, I think 10 out of 10 people would tell you the opposite,
Like I
because
did.
nobody went back and checked the story. It's not your fault again at the same time,
Yeah.
right? Because we just pick up the easiest interpretation available and we just move on with it,
Yeah.
and that's it, right?
Hmm.
The same thing is, I was listening to this one professor in history who was
Okay.
actually talking about Aurangzeb,
Yeah.
and he said that औरंगजेब की आखिरी की हिस्ट्री अगर आप जाके पढ़ोगे उसकी आखिरी की जिंदगी के बारे में, वो आदमी रोता था. He actually wrote to Guru Gobind Singh that he actually wants to meet him once, right? Because he never had good counsel in his entire life.
Yeah.
So if you know that the last of his life that Aurangzeb spent was in regret and in that phase where he was so apologetic for everything that he has done throughout his life, you kind of begin to hate him a little less. But then again, we only which helps us.
I think you. Uh, oh, hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear? Yeah.
Yeah, I said. I mean, we only like to keep that popular version which helps our narrative.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
completely right. I
Like
think
I
it
think
all
there was
comes
this
down to
one.
whatever helps you sleep at night. Like I say this a lot, whatever helps you
Yeah,
sleep at night,
helps you.
but eventually people just do whatever helps them sleep at night.
Yeah, they will always do what helps them sleep at
Yeah.
night. But I think again the only thing is that I think the one thing that just helps you, and which I think almost every text says in one form or another, is like use the term a lot, whatever helps you sleep at night. I popularly use just keep an open mind.
Yeah.
That's what I say, right? So as long as you have an open mind, you'll pretty much be okay with
My world turned around last year when so I
it.
was I was always ready to tell people, like this is the thing, this is what I believe, and you're like an idiot if you're saying कि ये नहीं होना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए. Like, what
Yeah,
century are you living in? It's 2020, and then all of a sudden my world turned around and I was like, listen, they are being
everyone has their own
intolerant,
reality.
but why do I have to be so intolerant about them? As soon as you say that, I think you were the one. Like as soon as Yeah, and I was like, as soon as like
Then,
I go on defending everything, I just become one of them. And therefore, this whole idea of,
yeah, if you fight the dragons for too long, you become one yourself.
yeah, and that just
I read it. I don't
changed it.
remember where I read it.
Yeah, I don't know who said it to me, but I think it was you or who. I mean, if
I
you
don't
did,
think.
just correct me. But
किसी
someone
ने तो बोल
told
दिया
me,
होगा क्योंकि मैंने भी
yeah,
कहीं से
yeah.
पढ़ा ही है.
Someone told me that as the moment you accept that you're a leftist, you're not one
Oh yeah, ये
anymore.
तो मैंने बोले. ये मेरी
Yeah,
लाइन
yeah,
है.
yeah. Yeah. And I was like,
ये
yeah, that's so
जो
true.
ये जो मेरा दोस्त है ना
Fortune.
जिसने वो लक्ष्मण वाली बात मुझे पढ़ के सुनाई थी देवदत्त पटनायक वाली, वो और
Yeah,
मैं गए थे मे डे करके ना एक बुक शॉप है
yeah,
दिल्ली में.
yeah,
वहां
yeah,
पर
yeah.
1 मई को उन्होंने एक वो लगाया था बुक बुक सेलिंग इवेंट. तो मैं वहां जा रहा था. ये कहते हैं वहां चलते हैं मे डे कैफे. मैंने कहा चलो. तो मैं नया नया था दिल्ली में तब. तो क्या मैंने कहा चलो ठीक है चलते हैं. साथ में ये लोग कहते हैं अरे भाई वहां ना बहुत लेफ्टिस्ट प्रोफेसर आएंगे बहुत मजा आएगा वहाँ. मैंने अच्छा ठीक है आता हूँ. फिर मैं पहुंचा. मैंने देखा क्या ड्रामा चल रहा है यहाँ पे. फिर मैं वही पूछ रहा. मैंने कहा एक बात बता. मैंने कहा अगर ये लेफ्टिस्ट है तो ये मानेगा कि ये लेफ्टिस्ट है. तो, तो वो कहता मेरे से ये कहता है कि ये बात तो इनको समझा सकता है. मैंने कहा मैं क्यों समझा सकता हूँ. मैंने कहा मैं नहीं समझा सकता तो मैं पूछ रहा
But yeah.
हूँ. तो
Fortunately, before
जब
you told me that, I had accepted that I'm not in a leftist. But so I was like a little like, ठीक है चलो ठीक है यहाँ पे मेरी बेइज्जती नहीं हुई. Like, you know, like sometimes you just hate yourself even though like you're not thinking out loud. And like, yeah, but I was
नहीं
like,
एक वो ना
yeah.
there's this one professor you should probably listen to him sometime when you have time.
Who's
His name is
whistling
Dr. Avar.
पीछे by the way? Like,
वो हमारा चौकीदार है. ये मेरे हेडफोन्स जो है ना ये लोगों ने बड़ी तारीफ करी है इसकी कि आपके आसपास सारी आवाजें आती हैं. तो उस पे हो रहा
that wasn't really
है.
तारीफ, but I know you were being sarcastic.
हाँ. तो क्या हुआ कि so this is प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर अवध ओझा. ये एक्चुअली देते तो यूपीएससी की कोचिंग है बट इनके ना लेक्चर्स अपलोडेड है वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री के ऊपर यूट्यूब पे.
Yeah.
those are those lectures are so amazing. they are like they're like stand up comedy with world history.
What's his name?
That's what that guy does. Awadh Oja.
Awadh Oza. Okay.
His lectures are so phenomenal. Like I remember the last lecture I saw, 2.5 घंटे का lecture था. It was the rise and fall of Napoleon. That was the lecture I listened to.
Yeah.
And he was actually comparing Napoleon to Modi ji. That's how he was explaining. And he was like कि भैया मैं तुम्हें सिर्फ कहानी सुनाने आया कि तब और आज की कहानी में क्या सीन.
That's
So
so interesting.
उसमें he was actually giving this one anecdote. कहते कि जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल कहते कहीं पर किसी ने कुरान जला दी और वहां पर लड़ाई हो गई दंगे हो गए. ठीक है.
Yeah.
या ऐसे रिलीजियस टेक्स्ट कहता देखो जो बंदा पावरफुल होता है ना उसको ज्यादा हल्ला करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. कहता यूपी में ये क्रिश्चियंस आए थे बाइबल बांटने. कहता उन्होंने बाइबल बांटी. वहां के कुछ गांव वालों ने उनके सामने बाइबल फाड़नी शुरू कर दी. कहता उन्होंने कुछ नहीं बोला. क्या ठीक है फाड़ लो. कहते कि जो आदमी बाइबल फाड़ रहा है कहता कि मेरे सामने कोई आके गीता फाड़ने लग जाए. कहता मुझे गुस्सा नहीं आया. कहता मुझे हंसी आई. कितना बेवकूफ आदमी
Yeah.
कि इतनी बढ़िया किताब जिसको इसे पढ़ना चाहिए उसको ये फाड़ रहा है. तो वो होती है चलो एक टॉलरेंस वाली बात कह लो या कुछ भी कह लो. बट आई गेस दैट्स व्हाट कीपिंग एन ओपन माइंड इज.
Yeah.
दैट इट डजंट रियली मैटर्स एट एनी गिवन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम कि हो क्या रहा है. इट्स ऑलवेज अबाउट व्हाट इज योर रिएक्शन टू दैट इंसिडेंट व्हिच काइंड ऑफ डिफाइंस how the story will play out and how your
Yeah.
perception will be realized by you.
True that.
काफी लंबे चले.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been streaming for 2 hours, I think. Yep, 2 hours. You joined in much later, and of course, there was the fuck up that happened.
I think we've been there for like 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
But I guess if anyone still is asking about Mahabharata, just go through Rashmi Dalvi, and that
What's
should
your
tell
take
you
on like? Have you read something like? What's your take on Madhushala? Because that's one Hindi poem
yeah.
that
So
I know. But nothing and
no.
nothing. Yeah.
So actually, I have to tell you. So like this Mamaji that I've referred to very.
Yeah.
His father was actually friends with Harivansh Rai Bachchan, and I actually have seen a personally signed copy of Madhushala by Harivansh Rai
Do you
Bachchan.
have it?
Of course, how can I have it? But I've seen one. now. So yeah, I mean, so again, there's a difference. Like for example, Dinkar is about Veer Ras, right? Uh, I think I'm short of diction on this thing that which theme did Harivansh Rai Bachchan actually write.
Yeah.
But I think he was more on the terms of what you can say. He was a much more he was, let's say, a sophisticated version of Manto. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
He was like कि हाँ ठीक है वो थोड़ी decent भाषा में वो बातें बोलते थे जो Manto would speak out open.
Yeah.
So that's what like Madhushala is about. I you know like if you read Madhushala, so Madhushala is like one poem after another, one poem after another,
Yeah.
on the same meter and with the same tone, but with a different message. That's what's beautiful. That's the beauty of Madhushala. That you'll still see that the meter and the rhyme remain same across every.
Yeah.
Madhushala is good. I don't remember. I think it's been a long time I read.
Yeah. I
I
read
think
it in
last
the
last I read it
lockdown.
was in college.
Oh.
Uh,
By the way, you also went to a JP branch. I also went to a JP branch. For those of you who don't know, trivia. So
I
nothing to
did
boast about, but
mechanical
that's
engineering, so yeah, I did mechanical engineering, so I only had one choice: go to Guna. वहीं जाओ.
yeah, but Guna had a beautiful. But you used to come down to JP Vakna Ghat for
I've been
JYPs
to
and
Vakna. Yes. I think I've been to Vakna at least half a dozen times, I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
were there in every YP that I host. Most of the YPs that I was a part of. I don't know about
I think the
MUNs.
last time I came was in 2018. Maybe that was the last time.
Yeah, you. I remember because I was. I think I was, whatever, and you were there for the first day, and one of the people in my team drew a caricature of you. So I was the what's it called?
Oh,
Editor in chief. And one of my team members drew a caricature of you, and you didn't come the next day. And the poor child was so disappointed because you left
oh
the YP
yes.
to go to Shimla. नहीं मुझे शिमला घूमने जाना है मैं शिमला घूमूंगा
हाँ
वापस
हाँ 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 हाँ.
and the poor
Because
first year का
because
बच्चा
I've always come to Vakna Ghat. मैं वहीं तक आया हूँ और मैं कभी शिमला नहीं गया. And I was like यार चलो ठीक है. I think that day that time I showed up as a delegate only.
yeah
And I
yeah
was like कि हाँ ठीक है अब मेरे को मतलब मैंडेटरी थोड़ी है कि मुझे अगले दिन भी जाना है. मैंने कहा आज हम चिल करते
and one of my like I was in the fourth year एक first year का बच्चा उसका पहला YP है पूरा दिन मेहनत
हैं.
करके he
Okay.
drew two caricatures one of them like both of them did not show up one was you and one
Oh
was this other guy जो मतलब वो होते थे ना कुछ स्कूल में जो आते ही नहीं थे
हाँ
but yeah that happened
यार वो भी. But हाँ like I
you
guess coming
broke
to
a
Vakna
first
Ghat.
year का बच्चे का heart that day
So कोई बात
but
So the first time I came to Vakna Ghat was the first time I did an MUI, and my first MUI was also as a press, and I think that's the only time I did a press.
did you like it? Did you like what? Would you rather be a delegate or a press member or the?
I wouldn't do MUNs anymore, but
I meant the YP. The YP is well counted.
yeah. It was fun back then, but हाँ मतलब अभी मेरे को वही लगता है यार
I
कि
believe अगर आप एक बार
बस
press बन जाओ, you can't enjoy someone else.
नहीं मेरे ख्याल से
You love debating.
like I always
It is
treated it
fun.
as a sport. Like so
Yeah,
debating to me was a sport.
yeah.
ठीक है सो उसमें हाँ ठीक है मतलब लाइक थोड़ा ऑलराउंडर बनके खेलना पड़ता है आपको. अभी आपको फील्डिंग करनी है, बैटिंग करनी है, तो हाँ मतलब जरूरत जहाँ पे जो चीज की जरूरत है वो कर लेते हैं वैसा करते हैं. बट
Yeah.
हाँ आई वाज ऑलवेज श्योर अबाउट वन थिंग विद रिस्पेक्ट टू दीस काइंड ऑफ कॉन्फ्रेंसेस कि मैं वो ऑर्गेनाइजिंग कमिटी में कभी नहीं जा सकता. दैट्स समथिंग आई कैन नेवर डू. वो एक
Yeah.
बार करा लाइफ में एंड देन आई वाज लाइक मैंने भैया ये टेंशन में नहीं ले सकती. खाना बन गया है, पैसे आ गए हैं, मैंने ये मेरा
But
काम.
the organizing committee also had like various jobs, no? For example, there was
Yeah,
yeah.
I did it once. Like I did it in my college, and I think I don't think you know Pallavi Chansoria. She would have been like pretty senior to you. She came down to Guna when I hosted a conference, and that was one time I did it, and I was like, yeah,
That's
मेरा
so.
मेरा personality type ही नहीं है organizing का. मैंने कहा मैं नहीं कर सकता.
Okay, Shashank has also given us another super chat. He says Mahabharat by C. Raja Gopalachari is also a good recommendation. No, he said is a good recommendation.
It must be, but yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is that yes, everything is there is an interpretation. So yeah, just keep an open mind when you read these things. That's all. Otherwise, if you want to read Mahabharat in an even simpler version, is just go and buy Amar Chitra.
I
That's
love
also a
Amar
very beautiful
Chitra
thing to read it.
Katha. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to read like Indian mythology the easy way, just go and pick up Amar Chitra Katha, and after you're done, just give it to children. That's all.
Yeah. Amar Chitra Katha is one. Yeah.
I
They
don't
also
think people
used to give
read it
you
much.
free pencils along with the magazines. Like they used to be
मेरे
like,
ख्याल से शुरू में my starting with Amar Chitra Katha has almost always been like मैं स्कूल लाइब्रेरी में पढ़ता था. And funnily, I went to a Roman Catholic school जहाँ पर हिंदू mythology के अमर चित्र कथा libraries में थी. So
yeah. The Amar
वो
Chitra
रोज
Katha वाला section, I don't know if it happened with you. मेरी लाइब्रेरी में सबसे नीचे नीचे होता था एक कॉर्नर में जहाँ पे हमेशा धूल मिट्टी होती थी. एंड उस मैगजीन के फ्रंट कवर तो होता ही नहीं था मोस्टली. लाइक इवन इफ यू फाइंड अ गुड कॉपी बीच के पेजेस मिसिंग होते थे बिकॉज दे वर लाइक सो ओल्ड. बट
नहीं अमर चित्र कथा is अच्छी चीज याद है दिमाग में आ गई.
या.
कोई है.
Cool. So we've been streaming for how many? We've been streaming for 2 hours, 10 minutes. 2 hours, yeah. Do you want to end it here?
Yeah, sure.
You look
We can do
tired.
it.
You look visibly tired. You've done all the talking. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna go back and work more a little. उसके बाद I
Oh,
think I'll still call it a day.
great. So I hope we'll see you soon as well.
Yes, absolutely. The next time, maybe the next time we'll just make sure
Next
that we
time,
don't go into politics
yeah. Also, next time
whenever we
I'll
do
ensure ki the setup doesn't, I don't know,
it. Yeah,
fall
that's
apart.
okay.
But yeah. But thank you so much,
No, no,
Bhumik. I'll see you
no. Thank you so much
soon.
for having
Yeah.
me. Yep. Okay.
Have a good
Bye.
night. Bye.
You too.
Okay.